got to TSR and I got the opportunity to audition for a novel, because one of the things we did in the department, everybody wanted to write novels because they were so successful.
Yeah.
But we set up a program where if you wanted to write a novel and you hadn't done fiction before, you had to audition for it, and audition for it blind. So you were competing against. We opened up the submission process, so we were getting in writers. Elaine Cunningham, Christy Golden, Mary Herbert are all authors who I brought into the company through the slush submission and the audition process. But anybody in-house that wanted to write a novel had to compete with them.
But I was also made like the host of all, like they had a bar crawl, so I was a host of that. They had a
Which
flip
makes
cup
sense.
game.
That makes sense. Who else
Yeah.
would be?
They had a flip cup game tournament, so I was a host of that. They had a beer pong tournament, I was a host of that. And so like Darkness Radio was doing a bar crawl of their own, but it was they'd tell spooky stories because we were in the Bermuda Triangle. And Tim goes, "Hey, why don't you come along? And we got Santana and Ortiz, and why don't you three be like our guests and do the bar crawl with us, and then I'll put you on the podcast later." And I was like, "Yeah, sure." Like, and I used to listen to Darkness Radio ever since I met Tim, so I was like, "Yeah, you know." I'm pitching it to like Cheeseburger and Manny, the other people I knew that were on the cruise that loved paranormal.
Yeah.
So I ended up doing that, and then we ended up doing the podcast. And then when Ring of Honor got closed, and sold, he called me.
I am allowed to announce something. I'll give it to you since we haven't announced it anywhere.
All right.
So that series is getting a webtoon original.
Oh.
So it's going to be a comic, which is really exciting because it's a series, like I said, that we love, and it's done. Like there's nothing else we could do with it now, but now we're going to be able to work with an art team to kind of bring it
into a different
to that new medium and sort of show people the story from beginning to end again.
These are my thumbs, and they dance. Boop 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 boop. Hey. Thank you so much for joining us, everybody. We're doing paranormal news, paranormal stories. You can share news stories that you find. You can share your own personal stories. Share whatever you want in the paranormal realm. I will read it and share it right here on stream with all of you. You got to share it in our Discord. ! Discord for the link. You ready?
No!
You ready?
No!
How far?
I'm so far away.
There you go, guys. Alt F4.
I can't.
You didn't need to see that. Clipping. There's a game called Dick and Milk. Sorry, I gotta know what Dick and Milk is. Oh, Nuts and Milk. Dick a game A. I gotta know. Oh my god, they're little penises! Oh my god!
Here, push. I will show my titties for 10 biddies.
Right? Titties for biddies. Thank you. Look at that clip.
Billy. Oh my god. Oh my. I'm sorry. I need to go on BRB.
BRB, hold on. I'll be in my bunk. Welcome in, Raiders.
Look, see, you know what? Hang on a second. I fight these villains off all the time. It's, see, that's what happens when you sit around and you sign Pops to the Creeper, He's got to be in on it,
Right.
Scooby-Doo, where are you? Oh, boy, Scooby-Dooby-Doo with epic rims.
I just won't bang them, so it's,
Right. need my calculator for that. What the? Hello, Movember, and thank you for all the donations.
Hi, Movember.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
November.
Oh, shit.
Welcome on in. I appreciate you.
Welcome in.
Hello.
Hello.
Thanks for popping in.
For those that don't know, Movember just popped in here, guys. Our
Oh
team.
shit! We have to keep the prostate checking off camera. Shit. Do we have to delete the VOD? Do we have to delete the VOD now?
No, it just moves
to
to the OnlyFans.
Are you sure? Oh, it moves to the OnlyFans. Huh.
Right.
Okay, so check out the OnlyFans if you want to see the actual checking.
We don't
of
have
the prostate.
OnlyFans. We don't.
Yo.
We don't.
I mean,
Shenanigans aren't
speak for
suing everyone.
yourself.
Yeah.
Pixel Nips has an OnlyFans. I've seen it.
All right,
Guys, our team is at $4,513 raised now. 4,000.
Wow.
There we go.
You guys are fucking amazing.
We're at 4,513.
Woo, we're doing
Guys,
this. We're doing
We're
this.
doing this. Yes.
I'm doing this. You guys do whatever you want.
When I got to TSR and I got the opportunity to audition for a novel, because one of the things we did in the department, everybody wanted to write novels because they were so successful.
Yeah.
But we set up a program where if you wanted to write a novel and you hadn't done fiction before, you had to audition for it and audition for it blind. So you were competing against. We opened up the submission process, so we were getting in writers. Elaine Cunningham, Christy Golden, Mary Herbert are all authors who I brought into the company through the slush submission and the audition process. But anybody in-house that wanted to write a novel had to compete with them.
But I was also made like the host of all, like they had a bar crawl, so I was a host of that. They had a
Which
flip
makes
cup
sense.
game.
That makes sense. Who else
Yeah.
would be?
They had a flip cup game tournament, so I was a host of that. They had a beer pong tournament, I was a host of that. And so like Darkness Radio was doing a bar crawl of their own, but it was they'd tell spooky stories because we were in the Bermuda Triangle. And Tim goes, "Hey, why don't you come along? And we got Santana and Ortiz, and why don't you three be like our guests and do the bar crawl with us? And then I'll put you on the podcast later." And I was like, "Yeah, sure." Like, and I used to listen to Darkness Radio ever since I met Tim. So I was like, "Yeah, I'm pitching it to like Cheeseburger and Manny, the other people I knew that were on the cruise that loved paranormal."
Yeah.
So I ended up doing that, and then we ended up doing the podcast. And then when Ring of Honor got closed, and sold, he called me.
I am allowed to announce something. I'll give it to you since we haven't announced it anywhere.
All right.
So that series is getting a webtoon original.
Oh.
So it's going to be a comic, which is
Okay.
really exciting because it's a series, like I said, that we love, and it's done. Like there's nothing else we could do with it now, but now we're going to be able to work with an art team to kind of bring it
Into a different
to that new medium and sort of show people the story from beginning to end again.
These are my thumbs, and they dance. Boop 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 boop. Hey. Thank you so much for joining us, everybody. We're doing paranormal news, paranormal stories. You can share news stories that you find. You can share your own personal stories. Share whatever you want in the paranormal realm. I will read it and share it right here on stream with all of you. You got to share it in our Discord. !! Discord for the link. You ready?
No.
You ready?
No. How far? I'm so far away.
There you go, guys. Alt F4.
I can't.
You didn't need to see that. Clipping. There's a game called Dick and Milk. Sorry, I don't know what Dick and Milk is. Oh. Nuts and Milk. Dick a Game A. I gotta know. Oh my god, they're little penises! glasses! Oh my god!
Here, push.
I will show my titties for 10 biddies.
Right?
will.
Titties for
I
bitties.
will.
Thank you. Look at that clip.
Oh,
Yeah.
Billy.
Oh my god. Oh my. I'm sorry. I need to go on BRB.
BRB, hold on.
This
I'll be in my
stream.
bunk.
Like that.
Welcome in, Raiders.
Look, see, you know what? Hang on a second. I fight these villains off all the time. It's, you know. See, that's what happens when you sit around and you sign Pops of the Creeper. You know, he's got to be in on it, you know.
Right?
Scooby
pop
Doo,
in.
where are you? Oh boy, Scooby Dooby Doo with epic rims.
I just won't bang them, so it's, you know.
Right. I need my calculator for that. What the? Hello, Movember. Thank you for all the donations.
Hi, Movember.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
November.
Oh, shit.
November.
Welcome on in. I appreciate you.
Welcome in.
Hello.
Hello.
Thanks for popping in.
For those that don't know, Movember just popped in here, guys. Our
Oh
team.
shit, we have to keep the prostate checking off camera. Shit. Do we have to delete the VOD? Do we have to delete the VOD now?
No, it just moves
to-
to the OnlyFans.
Are you sure? Oh, it moves to the OnlyFans. Huh.
Right.
Okay, so check out the OnlyFans if you want to see the actual checking.
We don't
of the
have
prostate.
OnlyFans. We don't.
Yo.
We don't.
Abby,
Shenanigans aren't
speak for
suing everyone.
yourself.
Yeah.
Pixel Nips has an OnlyFans. I've seen it.
All right,
Guys, our
so-
team is at $4,513 raised now. 4,000. There we go.
You guys are fucking amazing.
We're at 4,513.
Woo, we're doing
Guys,
this. We're doing
We're
this.
doing this. Yes.
I'm doing this. You guys do whatever you want.
When I got to TSR and I got the opportunity to audition for a novel, because one of the things we did in the department, everybody wanted to write novels because they were so successful.
Yeah.
But we set up a program where if you wanted to write a novel and you hadn't done fiction before, you had to audition for it and audition for it blind. So you were competing against. We opened up the submission process, so we were getting in writers. Elaine Cunningham, Christy Golden, Mary Herbert are all authors who I brought into the company through the slush submission and the audition process. But anybody in-house that wanted to write a novel had to compete with them.
But I was also
It's time to start the podcast. It's time to play some games. It's time to have some fun here on the Epic Show tonight.
We'll see some off the pod gear, enjoy some great alerts. We'll have a grand old time here watching Epic Rounds tonight. We love it when we come here, we clip all of the screens. The chat gets kind of trolly on Epic Rounds scenes. But that's an awesome part of the Epic family. So let's enjoy the show now and start another hype train. We'll see the spicy chips fly on the most sensational, inspirational, celebrational, epicational. This is what we call the Epic Show.
Hello, friends and enemies, heroes and villains. Welcome to Epic Rounds Presents Off the Pod. It's not a podcast, sort of podcast. It's kind of a podcast, but it's not a podcast, sort of live interactive show. Welcome in, everybody. Thank you for being here today. Our guest, our collaborator, our friend, the neurodivergent ninja, the TheNDNinja, so many names over so much time, has joined us. Welcome on in. How are you doing?
I'm doing very well. Brilliant introduction. Absolutely loved it, and yeah, I'm. That's all that's on my mind right now. I can't actually. I don't actually have the brains to introduce myself.
Lyric Lost did that for us a while back, and I heard it. And like, she wanted it to be an alert. She's like, "Here's an alert for you," and I was like, "No, that's going to be the intro to the stream." Other than the main podcast, that's going to be the intro every single time. That's the thing. Of course, now we don't do the spicy chips anymore, but that's okay. It's still going to be the intro to the video game streams, to the off the pod, to the all kinds of stuff. So it's so much fun. It's so perfect, and I love the Muppets. Like that's the thing. I just love them.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, can't beat an intro from the Muppets at all. I mean, Mana is probably going to be halfway through this as well.
Yeah, probably should be. Welcome on in, everybody in the chat. As you may or may not know, this is an interactive stream, interactive show. All of the alerts are turned on. Ninja can hear them. I can hear them. You can hear them, obviously. But you can join in the conversations. All kinds of things. We've got lots of different conversations today, different topics. We're going to start off talking about Formula One. I don't know a hell of a lot about Formula One, so I'm going to be leaning in heavily, probably to stereotypes, but we'll see what Ninja has for us. And
what do you mean? What do you mean by shaking out? What are you doing? What do you mean? What do you mean? What do you mean?
What do you mean? I mean topics, all kinds of topics, guys. Topics. We're going to be talking about topics. Formula One. We're going to go moving in. We're going to move on to our top 10 musical artists. You guys start making your lists now. Your top 10 musical artists, band members, composers, whatever. Give us your top 10s. If you have a couple of them, that's fine. If you only got top 5, top 3, write them down and get ready to join us on those conversations. We'll maybe explain why on some of them and stuff like that. So who knows how long these will really go. They're timed for 20 minutes, but they may go longer. Of course, after break, we're going to come back. You're the TheNDNinja, the neurodivergent ninja for a reason. We're going to talk neurodivergency. What is it? What's it about? Why is it important? All of those things. Of course, we'll also talk about his podcast as well as a live stream and all of that. So that's going to be a big topic. That'll be right after the break, so you don't want to leave mid-break for that. Of course, we've got the wonderful potluck where we talk about anything, everything. So if you guys have topics you were like, hey, you touched on this subject, let's go back and talk more about that. Or you said you might want to talk about it later on in the show. Let's go do that. So that is our couple of topics for today. Again, 20 minutes for each of them. Ninja, are you ready to go?
As ready as I'll ever be.
As ready as you'll ever be. Thank you, Sunstrider, by the way, for the What Do You Mean? And hello, Sage and Eggs. Welcome on in. I saw a couple people in here. Curly Girl is in here joining in the Tangia Dungeons. Our Tangia Dungeons are live, so you guys can join in on that throughout the stream as well and play that game. I saw some people playing it before we even went live. I was telling Ninja, I was like, hey, they're playing this game. We're not even live and they're playing it. We're not even live yet. So
not us.
So yeah, speaking of it, there it is! ! Join if you want to join in on the dungeon. If you're on Kick or YouTube, you can't play in the Tangia Dungeons. You can join us on Twitch, but to those that are on Kick and YouTube, welcome and thank you for being there. We appreciate you being here, and I'm looking forward to the show. So with that being said, let's start our timer and tell us. I know Formula One is racing, guys. I know it's racing, but what makes it different than all the other racing?
So, do you know what? This was one of those where up until a couple of months ago, even I couldn't explain what was so different from Formula One. I mean, probably US heavy, so IndyCar and NASCAR is probably what people think of when they think of motor racing. The thing that makes F1 different, it is the sport for nerds. You know,
okay.
So the best way of describing this, so very much every other motorsport that you have, no matter which band it is, whether it's IndyCar, whether it's NASCAR, rally driving, everything like that, it's all about the driver and the driver lumping it around the track, doing loads of skills and everything like that. By the way, don't get me wrong, Formula One still has some incredible drivers, but what's so special about Formula One is it's basically a science experiment. You know, you see the cars, they look like spaceships with wheels, and that's sort of because they are the actual. And it's one of the reasons why I absolutely adore the sport, is that the actual geniuses and the brilliance behind Formula One isn't necessarily the driver, although the driver is a huge part of it. It's actually the guys drawing the designs. It's actually the people making the Formula One cars, because even though they all look the same, each team has to make their own car, has to make them specialized. So you will end up with teams with huge performance because they have worked out basically being able to see air pressure, something that we can't see, and yet somehow there are nerds that can see airflows under and over. Honestly, it's like I love it because I don't understand it, basically.
So do they just go in a circle, or are they are they like figure eights or a circle or all kinds of different things?
No, so I mean, they're circuit racing. The closest that we've ever come to going around in a circle, in terms of permanently, is when we drove. I wasn't part of it.
You were totally in a car driving. We know you. We know.
Was when F1 was in Indianapolis, which obviously is an oval track for the Indy 500, but I think they use the GP course. They have done ovals in the past, but they actually shy away from them because F1 cars and ovals is actually quite a dangerous proposition because ultimately it basically means the F1 cars are going so fast that when they do have an accident, it will result in very dangerous circumstances. The classic example, there was one in Germany from the 50s. It was called Avis. And not only was it, well, I say it's an oval track. It was like a sort of two thin strands of spaghetti with a really tight banking either side. But it was dangerous because there was no wall around those bankings. So the drivers, if they messed up, they flew off the track.
So really, so they need to be designed like an airplane because they flew like an airplane if they went off the track.
Yeah, and you know what? It's one of those really crazy things. I mean, I'm talking obviously back in the 50s, 60s, and 70s. There was a time where F1, you had to be a madman to compete in Formula One, and you had to be sadistic to watch it because it was almost like there was going to be an accident in those times, and because of the high speed of them, it was going to result in a death. Now, thankfully, there's been a lot of governance that's been surrounding it in the past couple of decades, especially where there's still accidents and everything like that, but the safety in Formula One, I mean, to give you an idea on the safety is that I still remember this. This was about 5 years ago, where a Formula One driver had a crash at the same time that there was an incident that happened in a soccer match. I was watching both of them at the same time.
Oh, wow.
And I remember seeing them both at the same time. Now, I'll tell you this, the person who came off worst in their incident was the guy in the soccer match. So the guy in the Formula One crash was stuck in a burning wreckage, right? The full so Romain Grosjean was the driver, by the way. So the full injuries that he had was some burns to his hands. He was in and out of hospital that next morning, whereas the guy in the soccer match ended up with a skull fracture and actually was in hospital for about 6 months. And it really highlighted to me that because of the way it's been looked after, that for a sport so dangerous, it is actually extremely safe. Which sounds bizarre, me saying that a sport can be dangerous and safe at the same time, and that is exactly what F1 is, because everyone that watches the sport, everyone that looks after the sport knows how dangerous it can be if they don't look after it properly. So they make sure they do.
Sunstrider says, hashtag Halo saves lives.
Oh yeah, so Halo was the big thing. So you might see this if you see modern Formula One cars. It's basically where the driver sits. There's like steel bars that appear over the driver's head. Now, it's one of those really. So the reason why they did this was the fact that obviously there's debris that's coming off the cars, and you don't want that hitting the driver's head.
Right.
We had a situation back in 2009 for Felipe Massa. I adored that driver, by the way. So there was a car in front of him that fell to pieces, and one of the suspension springs entered into Felipe Massa's cockpit, knocked him completely out, and basically ended up with him in a 150-mile-an-hour crash. Now, the good news is he's alive. He's still well. In fact, I think he heads up the go-karting commission in Brazil or something like that. But it was one of those where, again, a lot of people could have looked at that incident and go, "Oh, he was fortunate. We don't need to worry about anything." Whereas actually the governing body behind the Formula One went, "We need to do something to protect the drivers." And to their credit, IndyCar did as well. and the halo was the very reason why Romain Grosjean was saved, because he was buried in a barriers, but because of the halo, the barrier didn't strike his head, so he was still awake and could still climb out of the car as if nothing ever happened. About 45 seconds after crashing into a barrier and being stuck in a fireball, it was. I remember that day very vividly, and it was like one of those reminders of how scary it can be, but a reminder of also how privileged I am as a modern day fan to be able to go, I don't fear for the life, well-being, and have that moral dilemma of watching drivers that could be driving their very last race or doing their very last activity of their life, which used to be a thing. But yeah, it's incredible. Incredible.
Does it hinder their view? Because it's like isn't it like right here in the front of their face?
So it used to be I mean, it still does hinder their view to a certain extent. I mean, especially as the fact is, one of those bars is right in the middle of their sight.
Yeah, it looks like a pair of G-strings. You were never going to unsee that. Never going to unsee that.
Yeah,
Halo is the new G-string.
I'm looking forward to the first team that decides to design on their car like a G-string frilly little. Never mind. Anyways, maybe Cadillac can do that. They're competing next year, and they can have some fun with it. But so this is one of those interesting things where there were some drivers that were worried about that, and it was one of those really weird situations. Even up until that fireball crash back in 2020, there were still drivers that were like going, I'm not sure this is the right thing we should be doing here. And then literally on that day, it was like, right, okay, then it's just saved one of our comrades' lives. We can't fight. We can work with the visibility issue because it's now lives at stake. And ironically, the guy that was in the fireball crash was one of those that complained about the visibility. And he I remember, I think it was the Instagram post he did or something like that, where he basically said, I was one of the ones fighting against it. I could tell you for a fact I'm not fighting against it anymore. And it was like, that's and given the fact that English wasn't his first language, it was like, your sense of humor is perfect. And yeah, loved it. But yeah, it's one of those where, again, it's like when you have a governing body that basically goes, right, we know you've got concerns and the concerns are genuine, but right now we've got a bigger issue we need to sort out.
Yeah.
So we'll address your visibility concerns and we'll still keep discussing with, is there another way? So IndyCar, they have a perspex screen as an example instead of a steel bar in the middle, so it doesn't affect as much. But they keep it open of that discussions of going, right, we're doing this for your safety, and this is staying until you can come up with a better way to protect your heads right now, guys.
Yeah.
And that is such a wonderful way that it's looked after, or at least certainly the previous safety actions that they've done.
Yeah, Sunstarter says, best way to explain is put your arm up vertical in front of your face. You can see things through it because of the way your brain compensates between the two eyes.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
Exactly. And
Larry Curley
this
know that.
steel bar is actually narrower than your arm, unless you are designed perfectly on the Barbie and Ken dolls, in which case it's probably the perfect width.
Going back to that G-string, guys. Going back to that. Sorry.
What? Hold on. What? Why would they need a G-string? They actually haven't got anything they're covering up.
Well, because Barbie's all about the female. Never mind.
Okay. I never had a Barbie doll, so my ignorance, I don't mind.
Wait, are you saying that I had Barbie dolls?
Well, G.I. Joes are probably the same thing, aren't they?
Yeah, I suppose, yeah. and guys, I had a Barbie. Because what guy doesn't want to have a Barbie? Let's be honest. There's a reason. There's a reason guys have them. It's just not for the same reason girls have them. And usually guys didn't have any clothes for them either. So.
But let's not look into the reasons why guys had them, because we could end up with a few guys cancelled.
Maybe it's possible. Yeah, I'm looking right now at the race tracks, and this is the one. They're the Mario Kart tracks where it's like they're all kinds of different designs and angles and turns and stuff.
Yeah.
Are they
It's
long? Are they like long distance, or are they
so
about the same distance as like a standard
yeah.
like in?
So it's there are eras of tracks. Is probably the best way of describing this. So there were tracks, um, the traditional tracks from back in the 50s and 60s where they were huge. To give you a good idea, so in Germany, one of the most famous motorsport tracks in the world, the Nürburgring Nordschleife, it's called. So people might have seen Top Gear or anything like that, where it's like 10-minute laps, 12-minute laps. Formula One used to race there, so that was and there is one track in Belgium which is one of the old traditional ones that is still around today, a bit shortened, and it normally takes them about 2 minutes to get around the track. That's the longest track that they have, basically, in terms of that. So it is that they're quite rapid, they're quite fast paced, in terms of 1 minute 30s, 1 minute 40s. I've got to say I've not seen enough of IndyCar to know how that compares in terms of lap times. But yeah, it's pretty much, in terms of the laps, probably just as quick fire as other motorsport. And I think the thing is the fact that the reason is because the F1 cars are designed to go round corners. They handle top speeds really well, and they are still doing 230, 240, 250 miles an hour, or however many that is in kilometers an hour, which I can't do the quick maths for. But it's what they do around the corners. When I tell you this, is the fact of the G-forces that they feel on the drivers feel on their necks is about double what an astronaut feels.
That's crazy.
Because of how quickly those cars. So basically, the cars are going round corners so quickly, and the driver's body basically can't keep up. It wants to stay in that position.
Yeah.
And so what you'll actually see is, if you see Formula One drivers, their necks are huge. And the whole reason why their necks are huge is to basically the strength of basically snapping their head so it stays in the same place, so it's not pulled by the G forces, the gravity forces.
I can only imagine
and
their internal organs shifting around. They were briefs, not boxers, guys. Be briefs. Since we're on the topic of underwear. Hello, JR. Welcome on in.
So yeah, I mean, we did. I do remember there was one particular track where the heat compounded the G-force issues, and you had drivers that genuinely said that the last lap that I did, I had to use all my energy not to black out because of the heat and the G-forces that were going on at the same time. And you look at it, and it's one of those where when you hear about that, you're like, these guys aren't just your typical Gran Turismo, Forza Horizon guys sitting in a chair and driving around. These guys are athletes.
Yeah.
They are super strong in the correct areas, and their endurance that they have in their bodies means that very few people could even do one lap in a Formula One car, even if they had the skills, without extreme gym sessions in the right areas. So it's impressive.
That's awesome. I'm one of the things, like, I get NASCAR, and I get it, but I don't get it, because it's like, if you've seen one lap, you've seen 30. But with these, it seems like they're not all like always just bunched together and they all doing the same exact thing. They look like they're, they sometimes get spread out and they're doing other things. It's not just like watching a group of flies or a group of ants go to a food and come back, because that's what NASCAR is to me. It's like they're all grouped, maybe a guy shifts, and 50 laps or whatever. Whereas this, it's like, yeah, like you said, they're taking those corners and the map's not exactly the same every time, and it's variations, and it's it looks a lot more fun.
And the crazy thing is the fact of the more that you watch the races and the more you start to understand what's going on in the background, even when they're spread out, you're still going, there's still a chance here. So I'll give you an example. The first things first is the tires that the drivers have. It's not that they can't last an entire race. They are not allowed to last an entire race. So one of the rules that's put in place is the fact of you have to use two different types of tires to race through. So how it works is that for any race there's three types of tires. They range from hard, medium, soft.
Yep.
Is how it works.
Yeah. I know that from video games, guys. I know that from video games.
Yes, exactly. And the whole idea of it is the fact of then it brings on almost chess and strategy, where there's actually the guys on the pit wall doing extra things of going, right, okay then. So we've got a slightly faster car that's stuck behind a slower car. We both need to do a pit stop. So what we're going to do is we're going to do our pit stop now, get our driver on faster tyres, so that by the time the guy in front of us has to do a pit stop, they're going to be behind us. And so there's all these little things.
If paying attention to what tires the others guys have on.
Yeah, and so you'll hear phrases in Formula One such as undercut, DRS, and everything like that. And genuinely, these are phrases where, as Formula One fans, it's like, right, this is the time to get excited. It might look like this driver's about to go 20 seconds behind the driver that he was competing with. Oh, no. He's going to be potentially overtaking him soon, but just off the track. And it's like, the thoughts that go behind it is the fact what it means is every scenario is different. And then you'll end up with curveballs in there. So where you'll have most teams going, this track is terrible on tires. The tires just don't last. We're going to do a 3-stop. And then all of a sudden there's one slow car. They're still going 200 miles an hour, so they're not slow whatsoever.
Right.
But everyone else considers them a slow car going, wait, we've got 5 laps to go, and this guy's only stopped once, and he's ahead of everyone by 10 seconds. The guys behind him are so much quicker than him, but are they quick enough to catch up to him in these 5 laps and get past him? Or is he going to do a massive underdog story and do a surprise everybody, which happened twice last year, as an example, where so one was in Monza in Italy, and Ferrari
just lost track of.
Well, everyone was like going, this is the thing. Every other team was like going, surely Ferrari are going to pit right now. They need to. And then with 10 laps to go, going, do they need to? And then 5 laps to go, oh my God, are they going to absolutely outbrain everybody else? And they did. And it was one of those where everyone just looked at it and went, we've just got to applaud that, because the driver is still a quality driver, but that car was not at its best. But they just turned that power play. It's the equivalent of having an underlevel character, but you've literally done all of your qualities so that you overpower a guy that's 10 levels above you, because you just so happen to do the strategy perfectly. And then at that point you just go, I know when I'm beaten. And that is one of the impressive things, is the fact of, even with 10 laps to go, it's not over till it's over. And so you're still on the edge of your seat, even though technically
quickest 20 minutes in the world, isn't it?
Technically nothing's happened. That was literally the thing I was going to say.
I think it's awesome because, again, as we stated at the beginning, I don't know a lot.
Yeah.
I know a lot more than I did. And to me, I had my mom's boyfriend, way back, was a big NASCAR fan. I didn't get it. There's a movie with Will Ferrell that's NASCAR that I love. It's a hilarious movie.
Yeah.
I don't normally like Will Ferrell, but I love that movie. And so that was the only thing I was like, okay, I can get behind this movie just because the context of it all is kind of fun. And so now seeing some of the strategy, because as far as I know, they don't have that in some of the other racing where you have to use the 3 different tires, and depending on what you are, and looking at what everybody else is doing, and there's a lot of factors. And so there's, it's not just the guy driving and not just the car where all the cars are exactly the same, which is freaking cool.
Absolutely. I'll say this firstly, that this sport has grown so quickly over the past 10 years. And the reason being, if any of you guys have Netflix, you will have seen The Drive to Survive. That has brought in so many brand new fans. And I'm one of the diehards. I grew up watching it with my dad. It was me and my dad's sort of like father-son time was watching these Formula One races, even waking up at 3 o'clock in the morning to watch Australian Grand Prix. That's how nuts we were. And I look at these new fans and go, come on in. This is now, I think it's like the second biggest sport in the world at the moment. And I'm loving the energy that's brought in. We've now got, there's going to be an F1 film that's going to be released in June, which has got Brad Pitt.
Watch a game, watch a race, right? Watch a race.
Watch
absolutely. A game, watch a show,
I think Miami might be the first American one that US one that they're doing this year. That's definitely worth a watch. I'll say this as well: if the films that they've done on Formula One is a really good way of getting into the groove of just how much of a spirit there is in the paddock. So one of my favorite films that ever was, I think it was called Rush, and it had Chris. Oh, he was the guy that was Gale in Hunger Games. Chris. Damn it, I can't remember who it is. But anyways, it told the story.
I thought you were going to do one of the Chris. I'm like Chris Pine, Chris.
No,
I was like, which of those Chris? The Marvel Chris's.
Oh, hold on. I know I've seen him.
Chris Pratt.
Yes. No, not Chris.
Like Hemsworth.
It might be Hemsworth. Hold on. Yeah, Chris Hemsworth.
Chris Evans. Mr. Beetlejuice says.
No,
it
is Hemsworth.
It is?
Hemsworth,
okay.
Yeah.
He was in the Hunger Games?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he was Gale in the Hunger Games, wasn't he?
I don't know. It's been a long time.
I'm sure he was. But anyways, and so is Natalie Dormer, who I adore as well. But they told... So this gives you an impression of how it is. All the Rush film did was retell the story of a Formula One titles.
Liam Hemsworth.
Liam Hemsworth.
Chris Hemsworth's brother. Chris Hemsworth's brother, Liam.
They look so alike. But anyways, so this particular film, Rush. So all it did was retell a Formula One season from 1976, I think it was, between an Austrian called Niki Lauda and a British guy called James Hunt. It was Hollywood. To give you an idea, I've literally just had a look at it. It scored 8.1 out of 10 on IMDb. That is how much, and it ended up being really good Hollywood film. And the reason being is because at times F1 becomes Hollywood. The stories that are happening behind the scenes, whether it be the good, the bad, or the ugly that happens every now and again, it becomes Titanic. And it's one of those where, because the Formula One paddock is a bit of a family, when two of them are competing against each other, it's like a sibling rivalry. It's great because they all dig out each other, and vulnerabilities that they reveal to each other in private then just get exposed in public, and everyone just loves it for it. It's great.
So Stranger says he's looking forward. Oh, asking if you're looking forward to the Brad Pitt F1 films. Yes or no?
I'm definitely looking forward to it, especially because of the amount of effort they've done in creating this film. To give you an idea, to create this film, they created a Formula One team in the paddock that spent 2 years with the F1 paddock.
Wow.
So they actually got to live how it was as a Formula One team, got to see up close and personal. So I'm looking forward to seeing just how close. I feel like it's going to be so close to how it actually is.
Is Brad Pitt going to have to work out his neck?
I think so. I think so. But yeah, it's
give him a neck brace and make it look like muscle.
Yeah, absolutely. And the great thing is that what you see is genuinely real. What I mean by that is they have used AI to superimpose themselves on an F1 car that actually did that track in high rage. So when you see some of the corners that this F1 car does in the F1 film, that actually happened. They didn't all they did was
they got the practical F1 effects. I love it when they do real stuff and no CGI.
So they got a real F1 car that was driving in anger, and they literally just put their graphics on top of it. So really show that it was honestly. So I'm looking forward to it so well, because even the incorporation in it. So when you were watching F1 and everything like that, you got to hear what was going on behind the scenes. Brad Pitt even talking about how amazed he was at just how much is going on behind the scenes. So yeah, I am so excited for it because I don't feel like this is I'm going to leech off the publicity of Formula One and that is purely it, and I'm going to pretend I like it.
Right.
No, they were invested in this for
That's
a long
great.
time, so
That's
looking forward to it.
Welcome in, Mr. Beetlejuice, talking about Game of Thrones and the new Superman. Mr. Beetlejuice loves movies. Hello, Curly Girl, welcome in. Penny Potato is here. Bum, 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 bum. And hello again, welcome in. JR is here. Penny didn't get a notification because Firefox sucks. It's okay. It's okay, Penny. You're here now. You are here now. We just got done talking about Formula One. We've got a new topic to come up. If you guys have a list, start your list. Write down your list. Some of your favorite musical artists, whether it's bands, artists, composers. If you want to narrow it down to like an era or a generation or something, you can do that as well. However you guys want to do it. We're just going to be talking about top 10 music artists is what we have on here right down below me. And we'll go over that Tenacious D. Let me write that down. Penny knows. I love the D.
Oh no.
The D.
Penny's gonna hate me.
This is gonna be a good one. Fight me. Fight me. Are we ready? Are you ready to talk about music? I don't.
I am ready to start wars in this with my. This is the thing with music, isn't it? Yeah, I mean, it's one of those. I literally was like writing this top 10. I'm like going, this is genuinely my top 10. But because people are so passionate about music, it's like
everybody's entitled to their own opinion. I can guarantee you, people are not going to agree with some of my things, and I don't even agree with some of them. I literally started writing. I'm like, man, I was writing them down, and I'm looking. I'm like, God, I'm old. I'm like, hold on, let me write down some contemporary artists that I really like too, so I don't just sound like this old dude. So
Penny, I'm just gonna say this, and this honesty will probably get me into even more trouble. They're not Tenacious D are not in my top 10, and the reason is, and this is probably going to sound even worse, I forgot about Tenacious D.
So here's the thing, I didn't put them on the list, not because I didn't think about them, but because I was like, I enjoy them, and they are entertaining as hell. And they are fun. They come up with stuff. You can rock out to it. But when it comes to the grand scheme of music in the world, you know, writing music, when you're looking at people like, you know, like David Bowie in the world, it's like they're fun and they're great.
Yeah.
But it's a different entity altogether.
Absolutely.
So they're great, but it's, you know, it just depends on what you're really looking for. And for some people, yeah, they're in the, like, I have someone on here that nobody's going to agree with me with. And it's like, Penny, like, I will fight you, but I won't fight you because, like, it's my opinion. I understand it's my opinion, and other people are going to be like, that is not a good one to have on your top 10.
Yeah.
You know, and they're similar, but I really enjoy them, and they were influential on me as a human being. So I think that has a lot to do with it.
I think, do you know what? I think that's probably a big part of this because, firstly, there's going to be two in this top 10 that probably no one's ever heard of, let alone.
Everybody get their Googles ready.
Yeah. But the other thing is, I think that is a big part of this, and I'm glad that you brought this up because I was almost going to do that as my disclaimer when I was doing the top 10. It's the fact of this is not, we're not just talking about talent here. We're not just talking about performances here. We're talking about the impact that they've had on our lives personally. At the end of the day, if you end up with a situation where, you know, a song speaks to you personally, or you've heard them in interviews and like going, oh my God, you are me, basically.
Yeah.
They're going to end up higher up in your list and you're going to end up hyper focusing on them. They're going to be your obsession of going, right, that's it. I need to hear that. They need to be in my top 10. And sometimes it's literally just those experiences of like, that ends up where they almost become new entries in that top 10. And in terms of if maybe you were to drill down into the instruments, everything like that, they're probably not doing anything complicated. They're not doing anything overly skillful, but they've had an effect on your lives. There might be ones that's literally done songs that's all they do is 4-chord songs.
Danny Sunstrider.
All they do is 4-chord. All they do is 4-chord songs, the simplest songs ever. But because of the effect that they have on you, they end up in your top 10. They might not be skillful, but they have an impact. And I think that is basically my top 10. Is the big. They've had a massive impact on my life.
That's kind of how you've defined this list.
Exactly.
I didn't number all of them. I kind of will probably have like the top 3 numbered.
Yeah. I do have my top 10 numbered.
I went through my album because I was like, who am I thinking of? I went through my list and like, I know there are people I'm missing. I know that there are bands that are being missing. I just thought of another one right now.
I will say this. When I mention my number 1 after the break, I will be taking this jumper off to be almost showcasing the top that I got from their latest concert because I wanted to keep it secret. I wanted to keep it hidden.
I should have done that. I should have wore a band shirt.
Yeah, and this is I had to search far and wide for this band shirt because I adored it for it. So I'm keeping it secret. I'm keeping it hidden until I reveal that it's number 1.
Do we want to start kind of on the low end and work our way to 1?
I think so. Okay. I think 10 to 1. Yeah, so we'll absolutely.
Do that. I'm gonna go through a few. I'll start. I'll go through a couple of the ones on the lower end. Again, the lower ones, I only did the top 3. The rest of them are not really in any particular order. I see JR said Chicago. Chicago is a good. JR said Chicago, a good list. Penny agrees. So there's a couple on here that I probably and they're all of different varieties. So I'm a big fan. One of them is more of a genre. Because like there's a lot of them and it's like that one in particular. Let me actually start the timer now that we're actually talking about the top 10. So the one I just forgot about just now, I'm not a big country person, but there was an era and I can kill 4 birds with 1 stone. There's a band called the Highwaymen, and the Highwaymen consist of Willie Nelson, Waylon Jennings, Chris Christopherson, and Johnny Cash.
Yeah,
we just put them all in the Highwaymen, one group, one thing. That's
I like that. I mean, I they're not in my top 10, but Willie Nelson and Johnny Cash in particular, I love their songs.
There's just some really special stuff about those guys. I've got to put Eminem on my list. The lyrical skills that he has, the music, the emotion that he can put into depending on what he wants to do. Like if he wants to make you riled up and angry, he will do that. If he wants to make you laugh, he will do that. If he wants you to be sad and feel hurt, he can do that. And I think there's a skill to that, especially in the genre of music that he does.
Just gonna say, Eminem is a neurodivergent hero. He's autistic, so I have so much respect for that dude.
It's really hard for me to say that they're lower on the list for me, but Green Day is on my list.
Yeah.
Green Day is. I saw them when they were nothing. I was watching them do nothing, and I saw them at the first remake of Woodstock, and they were throwing mud at the audience and just rocking out and just doing their punk rock thing. And I was like, those dudes are cool. I loved their music. It was unique and different, and they bucked the system. The music they've made transcended culture. So I got to put Green Day on there. Let's see. And then this is another one that's kind of, and I'll probably stop on this one because it's kind of a multi-group. I said, in air quotes, Genesis Plus. So Genesis is a band, but they also had Peter Gabriel as one of their singers. And they also had Phil Collins as one of their singers. So I'm just lumping the 3 together as one pick because I can't pick. Because I love Peter Gabriel, I love Phil Collins, and I love Genesis. I prefer Genesis with Phil Collins, but it's my cheap way of getting all of them.
No, I get that. And do you know what? This just shows just how competitive our top 10s are. Is because I'm literally like going, yeah, they are elite. But I'm still not putting them in my top 10.
Right. Like I forgot Billy Joel, son of a gun.
Oh my God, Billy Joel.
Okay. Anyhow, I'm done. I can't do this anymore. I can't do it. Let me cross these off. I'm just crossing them off so I don't repeat them.
Now you know how hard it was for me to get this top 10. And my God, my God. So in 10th place, I have gone for Rival Sons. So I
Okay.
don't know. There's already going to be question marks in this in the chat. I get the feel.
Google's
So
guys, Google.
Yes. Rival Sons. So the best way to describe this band, they're a Wild West rock band. Is the best way of describing it. If you could imagine a band playing in the saloon of a Wild West thing, these guys would be doing it. Not just because of the way they dress, but the way that they are. It's a dirty sound. Is basically the best way of putting it. It's a dirty bass. It's a dirty guitar that's being played in the background. But what I love about this is the fact of all of that musical instruments in the background. You then don't get to. It's really hard to imagine, the band where the singer is on their own, and yet that singer is so good.
Right.
So he has this ability to sound emotional without sounding like he's wailing or upset. It's almost, I suppose the best way of describing this is, when you've had that conversation with a partner or a family member when you've been hurt by them, and it's like, I'm not going to sting you with my words, but I'm just going to explain how I feel.
Yeah.
And that is genuinely how that they sing. There's a song that they particularly do, which really emphasizes the power of the main singer's voice, which is Shooting Stars. Literally, so most of the times, like I say, it's this dirty rock. This is the one song where there's a little bit of choir vocals in the background, but it is just that singer.
Yeah.
And you get to see the full range and how powerful he sounds without trying too hard. And look, this is the thing. I absolutely there's two things that I love. One of them you'll see from the top 10 is I love my rock and real music, I like to call it, is the best way. I don't like computers, or I like the computers to let's say emphasize the instruments. I don't want it to replace the instruments.
No,
but the
so
other
no
thing
Devo for you is what you're saying. No Daft Punk, no Devo.
Pretty much, yeah.
No
I
Lil
don't
Jon.
worry. I did use look. This thing I do enjoy electronic music. I'm not saying that I don't enjoy it. Calvin Harris is always my sort of pleasure that I enjoy if I want to chill and relax. But just that the sort of the realism of instruments really impacts it. But what trumps all of that is a voice that can be described as soulful, where you can actually hear the emotions behind the voice, but it still sounds clean, is the best way of describing it. So top 10. So 10th for me is Rival Sons.
Okay.
No doubt. 9th
the
place.
Band, No Doubt. I'm just kidding.
Sorry,
you said
What's
No
that,
Doubt.
sorry?
I'm like, the band, No Doubt. I was big.
Oh, do you know what? No Doubt. I love this because most people they're not in my top 10, but in terms of No Doubt, people probably think of there was one song they did that like ended up in the singles charts and everything like that, and was Gwen Stefani times 10. But the song I love the most, again, because it had the instruments emphasizing it and it had a bit of funk in there, was Spiderwebs.
Yeah.
By No Doubt.
Yeah.
My favorite song by No Doubt over every other one they did.
That whole album was pretty good. That was an iconic
quality album.
There are very few albums where you could look at it and be like, okay, 60+% of the songs on this album were released and top hit the top 10s.
Yeah, absolutely.
You get like that and Pearl Jam and some Michael Jackson albums. Like, not many people can be like over half my album is top charters.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I'm just gonna say for Beetlejuice's comment.
Yeah, I was one of your that here in a bit.
Yeah, one of them is in my top 10.
There we go. And we got 12 minutes left, by the way. We're almost halfway through the thing. That's why I clubbed 5 together at once, because I was like, we'll just do this real quick.
Right.
Get down to the meat and potatoes of it. So we should have done top 5, but that would have been hard.
Oh yeah, that was impossible. Ninth place for me is Lynyrd Skynyrd.
Great choice,
That band just ugh. Free Bird is one of my favorite songs.
Free
Like just
Bird!
the best thing I love about it as well is that Free Bird is one of those where it's generation defining. You know how old somebody is if you just shout out Free Bird and you
Yeah.
their reaction. I'm just of that age where I got to enjoy Free Bird, and Free Bird for me, it's a band just jamming.
It is.
And
It's
that's
got
what
that
I love
great
about
solo in there.
Oh yeah, the solo. It's one of those where even hearing it after 10 times, I still can't remember what the guitar's going to do next.
Yeah.
So it.
Oh, we're gonna pause the timer. We got a raid coming in. Pause the timer for May 7733. May, welcome on in. How are you doing? What is up, May? We're gonna give a shout out here for May. Welcome on in, Raiders. I was watching May
I shoot
play.
hot smoke out of my backside sometimes.
This little clippy clip. Look at this amazing bean. So much fun. Guys, if you like wholesome content, May, whether it's Stardew Valley or Palia, and today playing a Persona 5 Royal, you can always get over there and just chill and hang out and have fun. Sometimes she watches like reality TV and you can kind of watch along with her. All kinds of fun stuff over there at May 7733. Go and check her out. Give her a follow. Amazing. Thank you so much for the raid. We are doing Off the Pod today. We are currently talking about our top 10 musical artists, and it's going to be difficult. We're probably going to go over on time on this one. So.
Oh, no doubt about
sure.
it. They've had a second shout out there, no doubt. Wow. Anyways,
I gotta lurk because it's dinner time. We love you too, May. Take care. Enjoy your dinner. Take care.
So like Lynyrd Skynyrd, I don't need to say any more about it. Those that know, and that's literally it. And top tier songs. But yeah, ninth place for me in terms of that. Eighth place for me is a band called The Pretty Reckless.
Oh yeah, I know The Pretty Reckless.
Now one of the things I love about The Pretty Reckless is just the background of the singer that makes me laugh. Like saying to friends if they were to ask me to explain The Pretty Reckless. Oh yeah. So it's an artist where the lead singer was an actor in Gossip Girl, and probably the reaction is going to be, oh, so they like this poppy thing. Oh no, it's grunge protest rock that just want to fight against it. A proper I love when a female or femme character plays a powerhouse of like, not just I'm gonna be the pretty girl that sings for you, but screw you to society. I live for that power because it's like no one can really do an uprising like a female character because no one really knows what oppression's felt like other than a female character. So when you hear songs, and especially it still plays in my mind is the song that she did quite recently with Tom Morello, who is elite guitarist. What's the song? And so it went. That's the song. Honestly, such a brilliant one. And the other thing I love about it is she makes it sound playground whilst also sounding protesty. There are two songs that she has where she has kids doing the background vocals.
Nice.
So it sounds like it's just a shout from the playgrounds, but it is genuinely a middle finger up to the big boys in power, and it's just like, absolutely love it for it. And the fact that she went straight from cute little girl in Gossip Girl to this, just brilliant. It's like, for me as a rock lover, that's almost like the comeback story of the century. It's somebody going from Pretty in Pink to Awesome in Black, basically, which is just have them. Seventh place, this is sort of my guilty pleasure because of one of their most famous songs, is The Darkness.
Okay.
So those of you guys that haven't heard of The Darkness probably still have heard of one of their most famous songs, which is I Believe in a Thing Called Love.
Yes. Less than 8 minutes, by the way, or 8 minutes.
Yeah. So that was probably them at their best and their worst. But honestly, The Darkness is bringing back glam rock. These guys are still doing leotards and leopard print in their live, and it's like you watch them live and you go, have I just gone into a time machine and gone back to the 70s right now? Have I gone back to what is going on? They're doing swan dives off, that sort of thing. Absolutely love it. And the fact that it's two brothers in Justin and another Hawkins brothers. And again, in terms of female powerhouses, they used to have a woman playing the drums. An interesting connection to Queen is the fact that their drummer, Tiger Taylor, is the son of the drummer for Queen in Roger Taylor, which I just love that sort of connection because, yeah, their drummer, when Queen are doing their tours in the absence of Freddie Mercury, Roger Taylor does the vocals and the drummer for The Darkness does the drums for Queen, which is just like elite. If you can never trust someone to do Queen songs, which is foreshadowing, then you've got to be a top tier band. You have to be.
And people in the chat, just to remind you, we'll catch up on the chat here in a bit when we get down to the timer. This is big list, guys.
Yeah,
long ways to go, short amount of time. So we'll catch up to you guys here in a bit. So please stick around. We'll get to your chats here in a moment.
Fantastic. Number 6, getting your Google out again. It's Els Bailey. So Els Bailey, you say you love your country. You will love Els Bailey. So I first heard of Els Bailey. She had this wonderful thing where she's a country / funky blues singer, who is also a presenter of a radio rock station worldwide called Planet Rock. And she basically is a new entry in my top 10 because I got the chance to see her live in London. It was a fantastic day out that I got to spend. But what I love is the show finished about 11 o'clock at night, right? And she made the effort to do a meet and greet with the audience, but not just I'm going to sign this, I'm going to sign that for you. She had a proper conversation. She was like, "Hi, what's your name? Whereabouts are you from? And what made you hear of me and everything like that." And I even remember saying, so my mum and dad, they love her as well, and I was like, I was really hoping to come see you with my mum, especially because she really wanted to see you. "Oh, really? What's your mum's name?" "And I'll keep an ear out, and if I hear her name, I'll ask if she's related to you." So it was like this sort of, the best way to describe it is, it's a musician that still feels like they're a small streamer, even though they're popular in the UK. It's the best way of describing it, in that they really wanted to know their fans. They really wanted to get to know their people. And I mean, it was a special evening on its own because that evening was I don't know if anyone's heard of the Hairy Bikers, UK cookery guys that love their rock. And one of those chefs, who was a beloved radio station presenter of the same radio station, died of cancer, really sadly. And it happened that night. And so she sort of did a personal song that they recorded for the other one that was part of that duo, as a, look, this guy is never going to be forgotten, and here's something to hear him by. And I such a heart on that woman, and love her for that.
Sounds good.
I'm going to try and rapidly go through them.
I was going to say, I'm like, we got 4 minutes left. 4 minutes left to get both of our remaining.
Number 5, I'm going to skip over because not skip over. I'm literally just going to say the name because it's like, I don't need to say any more about them, and that's Foo Fighters.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
Enough said about Foo Fighters.
I've got an adjacent to that. I've got an adjacent to Foo Fighters, so we'll get there.
Yeah, absolutely. Number 4, might need the Google for this, is Nightwish.
Oh yeah. I don't need it. Nightwish, classic. Some classic rock.
If you can combine metal with an absolutely gorgeous voice, you have won.
That's awesome.
It also helps. Obviously, they're from Finland, and if anyone knows my channel, knows that I do have a very, very close friend from Finland as well, and I'm looking for any excuse to be able to visit them, which they're not. Sorry, but I just love Nightwish, and the fact that they were the ones that were chosen to do the Phantom of the Opera re-release for metal lovers was like, yeah, you have
That's
to,
awesome.
and just every single one of their songs sounds like a musical, sounds like an epic, sounds like it's a film that you should be watching. That's almost like Armageddon style films. It's like, yeah, really hits home. So yeah, I've got a lot to say about for Nightwish. But top three. So third place for me is Extreme.
See, that one I don't know as much as I would have. As like I know Nightwish. I don't that one I don't know as much.
So Extreme. Now they are I'm going to say they're a multi-generational band. So they did so their last album that they released was last year, and I got to see them live for it. The previous album that they released was in the mid-90s, which scares me to think that was a long time ago. But yeah, so they basically broke up because they had a little bit of a falling out, and they reunited about 29 years later and did this album. Now, what I love about that is because what that's meant is there's been multiple generations that have enjoyed it. I went to this live show, and there were dads and daughters that were, and the daughter was there for their latest album, the dad was there for their previous album, and the stuff that they did. The most famous song that they did was a ballad, More Than Words, which you probably have heard of.
Yeah, okay.
More Than Words, yeah. That is the only soft song they probably ever did.
That's the one I know.
Yeah. The other song that they did you ever watch Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure?
Party on.
Yeah. So you know that time where exactly. So you know the mall scene where Beethoven's rocking out.
Yeah.
That's an Extreme song.
Okay.
So if you want to add it to your playlist, it's called "Play with Me" by Extreme. And yeah, that shows you the skill that guitarist has, Nuno Betancourt, that he plays Beethoven on guitar. Absolutely fantastic guitarist. And by the way, he's not just done rock; he's done guitar for Rihanna.
Oh,
so
nice.
He's done both sides of it. And so yeah, whenever there's been guitarists like the guy from Dragon Force that's reviewed there, so they've literally looked at the guitarist and gone, yeah, he's in top tier. He is in the top tier in terms of their playing, the plucking, just absolutely brilliant. Number two for me.
Before you do your number two, I'm going to catch up to you.
Okay.
Real quick, and I don't need to. I won't need to explain why.
Okay.
So because I've got let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4. I've got 5. So we're gonna do, and I'm not gonna do necessarily in an order. I'm gonna do them in an order. So 5 for me. No reason. I don't need to explain why Michael Jackson is on my list.
No, you don't.
There's no reason. And for the same reason, and you might appreciate this, maybe they're on your list somewhere. I don't need to explain why Led Zeppelin is on my list.
No, you do not need to explain at all. They were a really close one in the top 10 for me. It was really hard to kick them out.
So that's those ones, and my number 3.
Okay.
My number 3 is David Bowie. Again, I don't need to explain why David Bowie belongs on my list.
Just enough said. Enough said. That guy. Oh, yeah.
And then there's somewhere is Fozzy. Nobody knows who Fozzy is, but that's the one that's just like a personal. Nobody understands, and nobody cares, and I am fine if nobody cares. But Fozzy is a rock metal band that's kind of current, and it started off as a joke and a spoof, and they spiraled out, and they're awesome. And I've seen them live 4 or 5 times now.
Yeah, fair enough on that. So did you want to do your number 2 or me do my number 2?
You can do your number 2, and I'll do my number 2. Then we'll catch up on chat, and then we'll do our number 1s. How's that sound?
Okay, all right. Sweet. So number 2 for me needs absolutely no explanation whatsoever, and was on Beetlejuice's comments.
Okay,
it's Queen.
Yeah.
Just that band. And by the way, I forgot to mention this about Extreme, right? So, when I mentioned about the fact of, you're a good band when you can be entrusted to do it, Queen songs with
Yes.
with the Darkness Sculpt drummer, right?
Yes.
Still, one of the most famous ones is when Freddie Mercury passed away.
Mhm.
You know, they did a live show in Wembley where artists performed on their behalf, and those artists, they performed their own songs. Now, it wasn't because they wanted to showcase it; it's because Queen were like, Brian May went, I can't trust you to play a Queen song. Extreme did an entire Queen set.
Wow.
That shows how much trust they had. And by the way, that you can still find it on YouTube, right? And the energy that is in the singer, you see like nothing else. He's doing aerobic exercises while singing, and I know a little bit about it of like going, I'm out of breath when I sing after doing aerobic exercises. How the hell he's doing it? And so yeah, just absolutely brilliant on that is the fact of if they get the Brian May seal of approval,
right?
I'm sorry, they have to be in top 10.
Nice.
They have to be. So yeah, but yeah, if you ever get the chance to find it, the YouTube video of that Extreme performance where they perform at Wembley for Freddie Mercury, just listen to the whole set, and it's both impressive and emotional. It's wonderful.
Sweet.
Anyway, your number 2.
My number 2. My Foo Fighters adjacent. Huge part of my life. A big moment and forever rest in peace. Kurt Cobain is Nirvana.
Yeah.
They're again. They transcend a generation. They made an entire genre of music. They made that entire genre. You know, they made whether you're talking Soundgarden or Stone Temple Pilots or Pearl Jam, like Nirvana put them all on the shelf and elevated all of them. Without Nirvana, those guys might not be what they are.
And I've got to say, like, everyone sees the heaviness of Nirvana and completely forgets just how good Kurt's voice is. Still, my best performance was when he did the MTV Unplugged.
Yes, love that.
About a Girl is no doubt one of the best acoustic songs I have ever heard. Him singing about a girl on MTV Unplugged, where it's just him and a guitar, and it's like, oh, you break my. The first time I heard that was after Kurt Cobain passed away.
There was
broke my heart to hear
something with the guitar he used. I don't know if it was missing a string or all of them were off tune, intentionally off tune, or if he added a string to certain areas, but the guitar wasn't right for that show.
Yeah.
But it was intentional. And I was like, that is cool. I went to the Nirvana Museum, by the way, at the Pop Culture Museum in Seattle this last summer. And I went specifically, we were going there and I was like, I'm going to there. I don't care what all you all say. If you want to come with, you're coming with. But I can't not go to Seattle and not go visit the Nirvana part of the museum. So
I get that. Cool.
So yeah. All right, let's catch up on chat real quick and then we'll do our number ones.
Fantastic.
Penny Potato says, love Green Day. Will always respect them. Love Green Day. Taylor Swift, Redneck Jedi says, Taylor Swift, my top 1, totally and objectively. I made a list of my contemporary music that I listened to, and Taylor Swift was on that list. Just because I had to have it separate. Let's see here. And he's like, we put one too many in there. Shame she's getting pulled in like Believe Likely drama. All right, Mr. Beetlejuice's post. My favorite artists are Queen and Danny Elfman, Backstreet Boys, Robbie Williams, AC/DC Kiss, the Beverly Hills Cop theme song, which is great. He was mentioned when he came in today that he's been watching the Beverly Hills Cop movies again. Henry Mancini, the Pink Panther theme, composers John Williams and Hans Zimmer. I thought about putting Hans Zimmer. I was like, you've got John Williams who does like all like the soundtracks, like old 80s, like classic 80s movie soundtracks, and then you've got Hans Zimmer's like, the Pirates of the Caribbean. I have those. I have every single one of those from Hans Zimmer because they're just so classic.
Movie and entertainment composers are so underrated. Hans Zimmer, typical one when it comes to Pirates of the Caribbean. That is actually one on my playlist. If I want to really just like enjoy the atmosphere, I listen to that one live. I'll say this as well is F1. I know we're going back to F1, but the composer, the reason why I mention it is the composer behind the F1 entrance theme tune, which is the one that literally not only is powerful, but there's no words to it, but you're singing the bit even afterwards. Like, and 2 hours after the Formula One race, my dad is still singing it, right? So the composer behind it is Brian Tyler. Absolutely top quality guy. I will admit though, he did do he did a DJ set, and it was almost like he was going through a midlife crisis. I'm like going, Brian, what the hell are you doing, my man? You are better when you have a baton in your hand and you are, you know, doing an orchestra like that side of things. But I love the absolute effort and detail that goes behind anyone that can write a piece for an orchestra to make it sound organized, to make it sound like one tune, almost like one instrument's playing it.
Right.
Because with all those instruments, I sometimes look at it and go, how do you not end up with a cacophony of noise that you like go, I can't, this is just giving me anxiety just listening to it. And yet somehow it's composed in such a way that it just sounds like one thing, you know, whether that be the songs for the Hunger Games and things like that, which Hanging Tree, hearing that live was such a special thing because of the orchestra behind it.
Right.
These composers, they're geniuses. There's no way to say it. It's a genius, basically.
Penny Potato. Oh, that's awesome. So
Hold on. Penny's saying, but what about the D? Why do you want to give us the D, Penny? Why do you want to give us the D?
Love the D. That's great. Such perfect timing. We haven't done our number ones yet. That might be on our number one.
You never know.
You never know. It could be.
We
could have them listed as number one. Oh.
In fact, let me just take them out since that Penny
just
is
delete,
so
delete off of the
enthusiastic about
playlists. And...
Yeah, they only need to be number one for somebody. So if they're number one for Penny, they don't need to be number one
for anybody else in the world. Yeah.
No,
Red says, I don't know if I could pick a true favorite. There's so many musical artists. Country is what I listen to, but I love other stuff too. Just go through these real quick. Welcome in Raiders, by the way. We're up to where the raid happened.
I'm going to take my jumper off because then it will give the clues as to my number one.
Okay,
so
okay. You do that, and I'll continue catching up on chat. There's me responding to some of the chats while we're chatting. You guys know that song Somewhere Over the Rainbow. I dare anyone to say they don't at least like that song. Somewhere, like from yeah, I know what you're talking about. From the movie, right? Love Play With Me at number 2 on stream. I thought that's what Penny does, right? Defying Gravity hits so hard. I know these are specific songs, but sometimes it's individual. Yeah, sometimes individual songs are what make them what they're awesome at. Do I know that Hans Zimmer also did the score for the Lone Rangers and the Transformers movie? I knew that he did the Transformers franchise. I didn't like the Lone Rangers movie, so I try to forget that. That movie was not good. Not good for a lot of reasons. The acting wasn't bad, but some of the stereotypes they did in there was not good.
Yeah.
So Tenacious D, best band ever, including Baby Baby One More Time. They didn't do Baby Baby One More Time. I know what he means. I know he's talking about. There should be a comma in there. It's better than everything, including it's better than Baby One More Time.
Can I ask Penny a question directly?
Penny,
go on. So how about this? Tenacious D or Henry Cavill?
Oh.
You have to pick one.
I don't know. She's seen Tenacious D in real life, so.
Yeah, but she gets to spend like forever.
She says she's Tenacious D. There we go.
Wow,
Without
that
question.
is the level of fangirl.
Because Jack Black is fucking amazing in everything he does, except for probably the Minecraft movie. that's going to bomb. We won't go there. We won't go there.
Do you know what? Penny is she's typed that, and now she's just just after typing it, going, "Oh my god, what have I just done?
What have I just? What have I said?" Yeah, the kids will probably like it. It'll be fine for the kids.
And by the way, Henry's probably in chat, and he is.
He is. He's a good friend of mine, and I told him to be here for today. And he just left. He said, "I'm out. I'm not."
He's crying.
He said he's not going to be on the podcast. He was scheduled, but now he's like, "Nope, not going to do it."
Oh man.
All right. Beetlejuice. We'll get to that here in a second. He says your shirt is a clue to the best metal rock ever, and he names 2 of them. We will see. I'm going to go first because I want to build up this hype for what the Ninja's got for his last one, and because I know we're not going to have the same number ones, but my number one, and I'm going to go into a little bit. I'm going to go into a little detail with this. My number one was very big for me because I grew up a lot listening to the music and not knowing who it was. And then there was a certain era where a certain song came up in a formidable time of I don't know, I don't want to say puberty, but I guess that era, the high school, middle school era of life. And the song was very emotional because, when you're that age, you're trying to understand relationships and your feelings and that kind of stuff. And you've got crushes, but you don't know how to. And so a lot of the songs really reflected that part of me. And then I started getting into their other music. And I was like, oh my God, they got so many amazing emotional songs. And then I'm like, oh, but this musician was also part of this band. And then I listened to the band. I'm like, oh, I know this song. I've always loved this song. Oh, I know this song. I've always loved this song. Oh, I know this entire album, all of these albums. And for the longest time, since the 90s, I've always said this is my favorite musical artist / band. And that is The Police and the lead singer Sting. Because there is nothing that man can't do musically that doesn't make me go, oh my God, this guy is a fucking legend. And the band members from The Police are both legends as well.
Oh yeah.
So
big time.
I've seen them. I saw them when they went on their tour, when they got back together for that short period of time after getting inducted to the Hall of Fame. I literally spent my rent money on tickets and I almost got kicked out. I almost got evicted because I chose to see The Police live when I thought that they would never get back together over not being homeless. I chose homelessness to go to a Sting Police concert on their last tour, and it was worth every freaking penny. And thank God I told they're like, what happened to the money? I was like, I had to go. I explained this to them, and they're like, I'll give you another month to get me the rent. And I was like, thank you. They understood, and it was super cool of them to give me another month. And then I just borrowed it from my mom, and we paid it all back. And yeah, it was fucking awesome.
I've just got this image in my head of maybe you and the live audience holding up a banner going, I've been evicted, can I stay with you instead?
Yep, exactly. And so I have they recorded the concert in Buenos Aires from that tour. And I can sit down and I can listen to it, and other than them speaking Spanish to the audience, like the set is almost identical. I can close my eyes and I can go right back to sitting at that concert live, and it really is so important to me, that song and that band. So there's the long story short for my number one. Let's see if the audience can guess based on what they can see of your shirt without you moving. We've got 2 options. We've got an Aerosmith and a Black Sabbath guesses. So you guys can go ahead and throw your picks in there.
While they're guessing, I will build on the Sting and Police side of things, because the first thing is my favorite song from, I think it was Sting, not the Police, is Demolition Man. I just absolutely brilliant, and because I thought I knew Sting, I thought I knew the Police. It's fairly laid back, easygoing listening is probably the best way to describe it. And then you hear Demolition Man. I mean, first time I heard Demolition Man was on Guitar Hero. That was like, and it was like,
and you're like, what is this?
What the hell have I just heard? And it was like, boom. I'm gonna say this as well. Is my 2 favorite performances of Sting. Full stop. One of them is when he was. I'm pretty sure he was the backing vocals for Dire Straits, weren't he? For Money for Nothing. I'm pretty sure.
That I didn't know. I don't.
So if you so if you listen to Money for Nothing by Dire Straits, I'm pretty sure it's Sting that does the backing vocals for it. And just absolutely, like, literally, it's the only person
I was like, he was well known before that, but
yeah,
he was the co-writer too.
Yes, yeah.
Holy shit!
Absolutely,
I didn't know that.
Brilliant.
I love that song too. Now I understand why.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, that's not that's the reason, but
yeah. My favorite performance from Sting was the character he played in the Bee movie. I'm just going to say, which if you've seen the Bee movie, you know exactly how he plays it. But have you ever seen it?
I haven't seen the Bee movie. Now I have to.
Yeah.
I also saw only part of the original Dune because I wanted to see Sting, and I was like, I can't sit through this. I can't do it, and now I hate it because it's the one thing I can't watch that has Sting in it. And so
basically, I won't like do spoilers, but basically the Bee ends up doing a lawsuit against Sting. It's hilarious. It's so good. It's like you look at it and you're like, I'm sorry, what's just happened here? You've painted Sting out to be a villain. That's actually quite impressive. So,
that's
but yeah,
to spin off that the TV series Only Murders in the Building. I think it's season 1 has Sting in it, and they think that he's the murderer for a while.
Oh wow!
And he lives in the building. He's like their celebrity guy. So check that show out as well. Red Knight Jedi says I saw Chicago and Earth, Wind and Fire together once, and I've seen the Eagles. Awesome. And Mr. Beetlejuice saw Tenacious D live in Dublin as well, and has autographs and got to hang out with him. So cool.
Nice.
All right.
So
what is your number? Do I have a drum roll? I don't have a drum roll. Do I have a drum roll? I don't have a. What do I have? I don't have like a.
Okay.
I have this. Close enough. Neuro. I can't even say it. TheNDNinja. What is your number 1?
It's not Aerosmith.
It's not Aerosmith.
And it's not Black Sabbath.
It's not Black Sabbath.
It is Muse. So this band.
It's Tenacious D. Sorry.
Yeah. So Muse. I can spend so long fangirling over this band. I genuinely. I'll give you like sort of the background of this particular band. So they first started out in just literally doing Battle of the Band stuff, and basically they ended up getting popularity through smashing guitar sets, smashing their sets up, which was just really funny. But the lead singer has heritage. This is the best way of describing this. So his mum is a concert pianist for big all-time shows.
Okay.
So he has the musical experience on that. And his dad, George Bellamy, was a bass guitarist for was it the Shadows? No, hold on. Basically a band from the 80s. Not a big band, but enough so that he was almost in the music scene and everything like that. And he had this adoration of rock and classical music, and he wanted to do skills and everything like from that.
Okay.
Now, what makes that so special is the fact that he first trained his voice in operatic versions. So his voice sounds like it could work in a classical piece, let alone that. But then he backs it up with guitar solos.
I'm trying to get a link for people so they can go figure out who Muse is. If you see me looking off, then off to the distance, that's what.
So this, and what I love about it is, so Matthew Bellamy, the lead guy, basically likes messing around with instruments to see if there's any unique noise that can be made from it. So he's done things like he's got a chaos pad that basically does it's something that's attached to the guitar, so it has an electronic feel to it. It's like a touch pad that making noises out of it. So he's doing a live performance, but it sounds electronic.
Okay.
He's done things where
kind of like Peter Frampton for those that know Peter Frampton.
And this guy so that he describes himself as a failed classical musician. But basically, the way to describe that is the fact that the riffs that he's doing, everything like that, you're like, I've heard this in an old classical piece. I've heard this elsewhere. Just absolutely amazing. So you pair all of that up, and then on top of that, they always want to try something new, try something different, right? So if you were to hear all...
Penny! This is my level of disapproval for you not talking about the bestest and rest of the rest of this. Thank you, Penny, for that.
And I'm going to fight against it now. So
that alert is my tribute to Penny, by the way. I have little cameo alerts that are tributes to other streamers, and that's my Penny tribute, by the way.
So yeah, Tenacious D were in my top 20, and now they're in my top 50. So Penny, carry on. They'll be in top 100. So you riot, I kick them out. So come on. So yeah, in terms of this, like I say, if you were to hear their albums in order, right, you'd be like going, these sound like 7 different bands. These sound like 7 different bands. Like they go from like sort of emo rock to hard rock to metal to sort of like cinematic rock to electric rock, back to metal, then into this really weird 80s system that they do, and then finally protest rock. And you're hearing all this together, and you're like, how is this the same guys? How is this the same guys doing the same thing? And the only thing that sort of links them all together is you hear the same vocals, and it's the same voice. What I love is that as so this was the band shirt they did of their latest one. What I love about them is not just the fact that they do shows. If you were to ever go to a Muse live show, it is like watching a film, because not only are they playing songs, but they're playing songs to tell a story, and the story is different every time. So I got to see them first in 2013, and they did a story that was almost based on the world is gonna sort of end itself because of environmental issues.
Gifted sub from Roddy Mama.
Thank you.
To you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Yeah, so yeah, the 2013 one, it was all about, right, there's environmental problems, how do we solve it, basically, was how it was, right? And basically explaining it fully, and it was sort of dystopian, but a slight happiness at the end of it, basically.
Nice.
Then the one
You're
last
close
year,
to a hype train, by the way.
I know. And then the one last year, that oh no, was it 2 years ago now? Oh my god, it was 2 years ago. The one 2 years ago was all about an uprising of the people, the oppression that's going on, but we can fight against it. And this is the thing, is that their latest album was Will of the People. This band is the band of the people, and not just in terms of, oh yeah, they're doing these songs that sound catchy and protesty. Their tickets. So I went to see a few live shows. I was fortunate to see a few live shows, despite the fact that this was the biggest performance of the lot. It was the cheapest. It was the cheapest ticket.
Oh wow!
So I would paid £30, so it's probably similar to like $35, I would say, for a ticket to a huge show.
Yeah,
because they're all about, you're like going, but basically the whole idea of it is our songs.
I spent a month's rent. Roddy coming in with the sub for 25 months. It's going to take one more person to trigger that hype train, and we'll hit a level 1.
Why did you have to say that?
Just saying, you did like $35, and mine was like 550. So, and I almost went homeless.
So yeah, the reason they do that is they go, look, our songs are for the common people. So why make expensive tickets where the common people can't pay for them and can't buy them? And rich guys aren't going to enjoy our music as much as the common people. So let's do it where we do huge stadiums and we get our money from little bits from people, rather than £500 tickets that you'll see AC/DC do and things like that. Where, I mean, the funny thing is that
Shout
it
out
basically meant.
AC/DC too.
Oh yeah, but the funny thing is, what it meant was I had this weird perception of how expensive live shows were, because I'd only ever seen Muse beforehand, and then I'm like looking and going, wait, what? $100 for a ticket? $200 for a ticket? What are you talking about? And then I'm hearing my dad go, yeah, that's standard price on. You're joking me, right? Like, and that's why I love it, is because there's no expense spared.
Yeah.
But you don't lose out on it, and it's got pyrotechnics, it's got fire, and like I say, there's a film going on in the background. You get to see the story as it's coming out of it. It's just so good. And like I say,
you mentioned the emo rock earlier, and I can't believe can I swap something out? Can I swap something out and replace it with The Cure? I need to put The Cure on my list. Why is The Cure not on my list? Son of a... Well, I completely forgot to put The Cure on my list.
I'm disappointed in you. Do you know that the lead singer for The Cure did like a piano special? I think it was last year or something like that. Where just it's really funny, isn't it, that emo rock. Whenever people think of emo rock, they probably think it's all dark and down in the dumps and things like that. And The Cure wasn't that.
No, I prefer to call it goth rock.
Yeah,
I prefer to call it.
Yeah,
exactly. I love. There's a tabletop RPG that's called World of Darkness, and they have a one of their franchises is called Vampire the Masquerade, or Vampire the something else. I forget what it is, but they had a soundtrack, a score that they made that you could play in the background while you're gaming.
Yeah.
And God, that entire album is so goddamn good. And it's all, different people from that genre. And I love it. Loves it.
I do love, whenever I love an epic song. What I mean by that is a long song.
Not like when I'm singing some made up song. That's not what I mean, right?
That's an awesome
not an epic song. That's the one that I yelled at Sunstrata earlier. Is like, that's my favorite. Epic Realms is my. I'm like, no, shut up.
So one of my the radio station that I listen to that has Els Bailey in there, there's a piece that's on there called The Long Epic and Ending Song. So what they'll do is they get listeners to go in, right, it has to be a long song, it has to be epic, but it has to end. And so I had this fascination with long epic and ending songs as a result. And one of my favourite songs that's in that sort of genre is actually by The Cure, which is Fascination Street. I love Fascination Street. Just the build-up. I think that's the thing, is you almost get to see the editing of a song in action, because you're seeing the build-up of, it starts off with one instrument or two instruments and then adds another one on there and another one on there, and then finally the vocals are on there. And it's like, you want to... I don't know if it's the autistic in me, I don't know if it's the neurodivergent in me, where I'm like going, I want to actually hear what's behind the song.
Yeah.
I want to enjoy and see the skills of the bass guitarist, of the beat from the drummer, of the lead guitarist, of the synthesizers. I want to hear it all together.
Yeah.
But I also want to hear them shine on their own. And that's why I love epic songs, because it takes time to build up to the big noise, so you get to see it at its best, basically. So absolutely love The Cure. But I'm gonna stop fangirling about music hats, because I'm gonna be.
We'll be here all night. We'll be here. We're over. We've done top 10 music twice now. We're good. We're good.
It'll be a 20-hour podcast if I keep carrying on.
Would be. Welcome on. Thank you again so much. Thank you, Penny, for the Tenacious D bits. Appreciates you very much for giving us your last of the biddies. And of course, Roddy Mama for gifting the Ninja a sub and resubscribing yourself. Definitely appreciate it. It means a lot. It allows me to keep doing this show for you guys. This show and all of the other ones. Guys, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, you'll see the topic below me. Neurodivergency. I had a hard time saying it earlier, but I said it now. We're going to talk about that. Will it be 20 minutes? Well, that's what the timer says, but probably not. We'll probably go over. So bring us your stories, your thoughts. I know a lot of our people in our community are on the neurodivergent spectrum. So I can't wait to listen to you guys. I can't wait to talk to you about it. I can't wait to talk to you, Ninja, about it. So when we get back, stick around through the break, through the ads. When we come back, we're going to cover this topic. We're going to talk about Off the Pod. We're going to talk about Ninja's podcast. So we'll be back after this break, everyone. Thank you so much for being here. I need my calculator for that. What the?
When I got to TSR and I got the opportunity to audition for a novel, because one of the things we did in the department, everybody wanted to write novels because they were so successful.
Yeah.
But we set up a program where if you wanted to write a novel and you hadn't done fiction before, you had to audition for it and audition for it blind. So you were competing against. We opened up the submission process. So we were getting in writers, Elaine Cunningham, Christy Golden, Mary Herbert, are all authors who I brought into the company through the slush submission and the audition process. But anybody in house that wanted to write a novel had to compete with them.
I just won't bang them, so it's
Right. Hello, Movember. Thank you for all the donations.
Hi,
thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Movember.
Oh, shit.
Welcome on in. I appreciate you.
Welcome in.
Hello.
Hello.
Thanks for popping in.
For those that don't know, Movember just popped in here, guys. Our team.
Shit, we have to keep the prostate checking off camera. Shit. Do we have to delete the VOD? Do we have to delete the VOD now?
No, it just moves to the OnlyFans.
Are you sure? Oh, it moves to the OnlyFans.
Right.
Okay, so check out the OnlyFans if you want to see the actual checking.
We don't have OnlyFans. We don't.
Yo.
We don't.
Abby,
Shenanigans aren't
speak for
suing everyone.
yourself. Pixel Nips has an OnlyFans. I've seen it.
All right,
guys, our team is at $4,513 raised now. 4,000.
Wow.
There we go.
You guys are fucking amazing.
We're at 4,513.
Woo, we're doing
Guys,
this. We're doing
We're
this.
doing this. Yes.
I'm doing this. You guys do whatever you want.
Look, see, you know what? Hang on a second. I fight these villains off all the time. It's, see, that's what happens when you sit around and you sign Pops to the creeper. He's got to be in on it.
Right.
Scooby Doo, where are you? Oh boy, Scooby Dooby Doo with epic rims.
Thank you so much for joining us, everybody. We're doing paranormal news, paranormal stories. You can share news stories that you find. You can share your own personal stories. Share whatever you want in the paranormal realm. I will read it and share it right here on stream with all of you. You got to share it in our Discord. ! Discord for the link.
I am allowed to announce something. I'll give it to you since we haven't announced it anywhere.
All right.
So that series is getting a webtoon original.
Oh.
So it's going to be a comic, which is
okay.
Really exciting because it's a series, like I said, that we love, and it's done. Like there's nothing else we could do with it now. But now we're going to be able to work with an art team to kind of bring it
into a different
to that new medium and sort of show people the story from beginning to end again.
Here, push.
I will show my titties for 10 biddies.
Right? Titties for biddies. Thank you. Look at that clip.
Billy.
Oh my God. Oh my. I'm sorry. I need to go on BRB.
BRB. Hold on. I'll be in my bunk. Welcome in, Raiders.
But I was also made like the host of all, like they had a bar crawl, so I was a host of that. They had a
which
flip
makes
cup
sense.
game.
That makes sense. Who else would be?
They had a flip cup game tournament, so I was a host of that. They had a beer pong tournament, I was a host of that. And so like Darkness Radio was doing a bar crawl their own, but they'd tell spooky stories because we were in the Bermuda Triangle. And Tim goes, "Hey, why don't you come along? And we got Santana and Ortiz, and why don't you three be like our guests?" And do the bar crawl with us, and then I'll put you on the podcast later. And I was like, yeah, sure. Like, and I used to listen to Darkness Radio ever since I met Tim. So I was like, yeah, you know, I'm pitching it to like Cheeseburger and Manny, the other people I knew that were on the cruise that loved paranormal.
Yeah.
So I ended up doing that, and then we ended up doing the podcast. And then when Ring of Honor got closed, you know, and sold, he called me.
You ready?
No.
You ready?
No. How far? I'm so far away.
There you go, guys. Alt F4.
I can't.
You didn't need to see that. Clipping. These are my thumbs, and they dance. Boop 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 boop. Hey, there's a game called Dick and Milk. Sorry, I gotta know what Dick and Milk is. Oh, Nuts and Milk. Dick a game A. I gotta know. Oh my god, they're little penises! Oh my god! I need my calculator for that. What the?
When I got to TSR and I got the opportunity to audition for a novel, because one of the things we did in the department, everybody wanted to write novels because they were so successful.
Yeah.
But we set up a program where if you wanted to write a novel and you hadn't done fiction before, you had to audition for it and audition for it blind. So you were competing against. We opened up the submission process. So we were getting in writers, Elaine Cunningham, Christy Golden, Mary Herbert, are all authors who I brought into the company through the slush submission and the audition process. But anybody in house that wanted to write a novel had to compete with them.
I just won't bang them, so it's, you know.
Right. Hello, Movember, and thank you for all the donations. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Movember.
Oh shit.
Welcome on in. I appreciate you.
Welcome in.
All right, guys, we are back from break. Thank you guys so much for being here. Thank you for sticking it out through the break. Much appreciated. Appreciate all of you guys enjoying the clips and hanging out with us and being here and preparing for our next topics. If you missed the topics earlier, you can catch the video on demand. You can catch it on YouTube. We started off talking about Formula One. I didn't really know a lot about it. I know a lot more, and now I want to watch some. So if you're curious, even if you're not curious, go back and check out the Formula One conversation and find out what makes it different and unique from all of the other racing that is out there. From there, we moved on and talked about, let's see if my buttons do. Are my buttons going to work? There we go. We were talking about top 10 music artists, top 10 music. This was, this should have been 2 topics. We should have just made this 2 topics. We were talking about this as soon as we went off. This should have just been 2 topics. You know, these topics are 20 minutes a piece, and we're at almost 2 hours right now. So, and I think we spent maybe 25 minutes talking about our first topic and, 15 minutes on the opener. So, very, very great conversation. Maybe we'll come back and we'll do it again. Like, let's talk about contemporary music, because I've got a list. I've got a list of contemporary artists right here that I listen to, so I don't feel old. So we don't feel old talking about The Cure and Lynyrd Skynyrd and AC/DC and Black Sabbath and Michael Jackson and David Bowie. We do know new songs, guys. We do know modern songs. They're just not our current favorites.
Speak for yourself.
Oh wow, wow!
You're not definitely. It's really. I know obviously we're sort of going over and over and over on this. For me, it's like you've got to look. I enjoy the instruments, which includes the vocal instrument as well. You know, behind that side of things, and there will be ones that enter into the fold, in terms of that. But I've got too much music to listen to already. I've got my playlist set. I've got my, and it's like, don't add, because if I have to add, I'm gonna have to take one of my favorites away, because otherwise I'm not gonna be able to remember
Here's
it.
the thing. Not to make a topic that this is probably what we should do for our potluck. But you know what? Let's do that. I'm setting it aside.
We'll do it.
We're setting it aside for potluck. Neurodivergency. What is it? Where does the term come from? How does it relate to other things? What is neurotypical? People hear that term all the time. And a lot of people are like, these are two different things. And there's people have opinions, and then there's facts that science has for us. I have an opinion. What I have is not a science fact. I don't feel like there's a hard line. I think that there's a sliding scale. Like, I probably define more as neurotypical, but I definitely have some divergent traits, some things that I do that definitely are in that scale. But I definitely lean more to the neurotypical. Talk to us about your thoughts, your theories on the two terms and what they mean to you and what they mean in reality.
I think the first thing that's worth mentioning here is this might sound controversial from the start. There is no sliding scale. You are part of the neurodivergent group, or you're not. The best way of describing it is, if you see someone of a certain race, for example, that's like a neighbor of yours, let's say someone who of Latin American descent, you wouldn't say to them, hey, I enjoy a burrito, I enjoy a taco, maybe I'm part Mexican, maybe I'm part Latin American. There might be traits and things like that you can sort of connect with, if that makes sense, and preferences that you connect with. But there might be a situation where you are neurodivergent, There are people, there's a missing generation, people that are autistic, people that have ADHD and don't know about it until their 40s and 50s. But it is very much, it's an on-off switch, not a sliding scale is the best way of describing it.
Okay.
But the interesting thing is that, so those that are neurodivergent, the big group, for a long time, it was really difficult to come up with a term that was socially acceptable for it and could mark it down and
encompass all the groups, right?
Exactly.
So many groups.
Like, for those that are autistic, those that have ADHD, Tourette's is part of there, bipolar is part of there, Down syndrome is part of there, and lots
OCD.
of other ones, epilepsy, OCD. You're looking at them and you get, even when I was growing up, I remember this. It's like, is it a mental condition? Is it a disability? It's sort of, they didn't sound right. I'm not I'm not the type of person that belongs in a mental institution, so to describe it as a mental condition sounded wrong.
Right.
And in terms of a disability, yes, there are disabling factors about it, but there's way more to it. And then this term neurodivergent came up, and it is the perfect name for it, because it's a neurological condition, and the condition is that it's different, divergent. You think differently to everybody else, hence why you get the neurodivergent, neurotypical. If you think along the same lines as the majority of people in the room, then you're neurotypical. If you think differently to that, then you're neurodivergent. The best way of describing this is actually, let's say that 95% of people in the world are autistic. Then the autistic condition would be neurotypical, because that is the way that most people think. And the great way of the of calling it being neurodivergent is it allows I don't know if anyone's seen the film Divergent itself, where so the film was like, oh, everyone fits in a certain bracket, but the people that are divergent, they don't fit in everywhere. And the way that it was thought of at the start of the movie was those that are divergent, they are bad people, and the way the society viewed them. And then eventually it was like, no, divergent people help with the solution. They're not the problem.
Right.
Incorporate them and you provide the solution. And that's the best way of describing it. For a long time, during the as late it had its worst times during the Nazi times. Was that a lot of those that were autistic and ADHD were sectioned. They were considered as a problem, apart from a certain group of autistic individuals where they seemed normal.
Right.
And by the way, that's the best way. Neurotypical is a lot better than saying normal, because I'm like going, well, for me, what I'm thinking is normal. You're the weirdos, not me. Sometimes.
Very off-putting to be like normal and weird. Right?
Exactly.
That's stupid.
And one of the things I love about it is that by describing it as divergent, it's a different way of viewing the same situation, and completely spins everything on its head. Now all of a sudden it's not a problem, it can be a solution. The things that I love hearing about is, we all love an outside the box thinker.
Right.
Someone that let's say there's a struggling business but everybody loves it, and someone is brought in and goes, hey, I've got a couple of ideas, they're a little bit odd but I think they're gonna work big time. What do you think? Right? Looked at the same problem through a different perspective,
different lens,
and solves it. And people love those types of people of going, right, let's now here's the thing, those that are neurodivergent can't help but think outside the box.
Right.
Their problem is communicating it to those that can't help but think inside the box. But actually it's like, here is this gem of an idea, and here is the small minority of the people that have that unique idea. Let's bring them in.
Right.
As part of it. It's one of the things I absolutely love, where it's been part of that, where all of a sudden, I've been very fortunate that since I've had that perspective, I had that perspective since I started my job that I am currently at now in 2016. And all of a sudden it's like, I'm considered by some people as the guru of the company, right? Because I am so obsessed with processes and things like that, that I end up finding out about things. And it's like, right, if I don't know about it, Ninja will be the one to talk to. And even if I have absolutely nothing to do with it, so I deal with service delivery of our company and everything like that. Even if it's to do with something on a technological or an IT side of things, sometimes to help the other person find out what the potential issue might be using different scenarios, they'll turn to me, where I'm like going, well, I've got no experience in IT, but this thing seems to be switching off at a certain time. I do know that sometimes internet companies will switch off at like 2 a.m. in the morning for their Wi-Fi because no one's using it. Maybe it's a similar thing like that, and bringing that into it, where it's like, hadn't thought of it like that before, but now you've mentioned it.
Other people don't, or patterns.
Exactly. I, as someone who's autistic, I love the how of things.
Right.
I ain't, because I can't read necessarily people's intentions or anything like that. I don't give a crap about the why. Why did you do this? I really don't care, because it's not on me to read your intentions.
Right.
I want to know how you did it, right? Let's say if somebody was to hack into the systems of a company or a video game or anything like that, I don't care whether you did it as a joke or not. I want to know how the hell you managed to do it. How the hell you managed to break through 3 mainframes. How the hell you managed to do this. and what trails have you left to give us the how? Because then that helps us fix it. And in a similar sort of way, one of the things that has helped in terms of the way that I am is a customer might come to me and go, right, we've got an issue. We don't think it's a big issue. And I'll almost say to them, almost, you, the way that you feel about the issue, ultimately, it's an issue. I want to fix it.
Yeah.
I'm not interested in necessarily the bad effects. I just want to fix, right? And so it's that sort of what I love about it is that because of this feeling. And by the way, if the roles were reversed, it'd be exactly the same. If neurotypical people were in the minority and so were the neurodivergent, again, the ideas, because they're so rare, they become valuable. And it's like, right, give me your opinion on it. And I just love, and that's where this thing of neurodiversity is not talking about those that are neurodivergent.
Right.
It's talking about all
Everybody.
of the different thoughts brought together, brainstorming together, where basically it is the perfect team. The perfect team is someone who's neurodivergent and someone who's neurotypical, making allowances for each other. Yes, they might upset each other every now and again, but ultimately going, we're just going to fix it. I don't, you know, you might upset me, I might upset you, but ultimately, let's just fix this problem together. And then you end up with the best partnerships and the best team play that fixes anything that might come their way. So it's a big passion subject for myself, certainly, in regards to this.
We got in chat, we got Penny says she's ADHD and autistic, but I didn't think neurodivergency was just another way of saying autistic. Redneck Jedi says, we're not broken, we're just different operating systems. A little computer reference there.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
I do like those.
That's a good description, actually. And there was so one of the ones that she found out she was autistic during lockdown was Fern Brady.
Okay.
Comedian. And by the way, that really shows something, because one of the things that was a perception of autistic people is that they don't have a sense of humour. I'm sorry, you've got a Scottish comedian who's autistic. That's kind of disproven your point.
Right,
and she
right.
is bloody hilarious. And she described it perfectly. She said, you guys work off Apple and I work off Android. That is literally it. Right? There's things that we use that might be similar, and we can work it out together, and you can find ways to translate between the two. But ultimately, we just think differently. I don't have a superpower, but I'm not a problem either. Right? One of the things that she jokes about was the fact of, you know, is it a superpower? Is it somebody, a superhero, if they're brought in to save the world and their superpower is that they can recite all the works of Shakespeare word by word because they're absolutely obsessed with it as someone who's ADHD? That's not a superpower, but it's not a problem either. Why are you considering it as either or? It's just we are different people. That is the best way of describing it.
Although some people do describe, some people who have the hyper focus are like, it's a superpower. It's also a super hindrance, but
well, yeah, absolutely. And I think that's the balanced way of looking at it, is the fact of these things can be the best thing and the worst thing at the same time. There are, you know, for example, I can't say for certain because it's literally just rumors about people, so I'm not going to say those people's names.
Yeah, don't say names, just.
But there are rumors that one of the best Formula One drivers of all time had ADHD, right? And especially because what basically happened was they were so much in the zone. By the way, they didn't even realize the race had finished. They dominated the entire field, but they were so much in the zone and so hyper focused that it took the radio from his team to go, mate, you can slow down now, you've finished.
Right.
And he was like going, I was in the zone there. And so you end up with this situation where, yes, it can be a hindrance. You know, let's say somebody really needs me to help them out with something, but I'm hoping to focus on something else. It's really, really hard to pull away from.
Right.
That is a hindrance. But if it's a case of, right, you want me to really go through this report one by one and it's that important to you, engage hyperfocus, that's it. I'm focused on the admin.
Don't talk to me till I'm done.
Yeah, I've literally had it where.
But then you're like, I'm done, and they're like, how? You just started.
The funniest situation of this was when I was working during lockdown. Now, I'd been an office worker all my career basically, and this was the first time working from home. And I hyper focused on a project so much that my boss had to message me at 11 p.m. to go, get the hell off your laptop, or I'm telling on you. As if to go, you hyper focus so much. And the funny thing is, there was somebody else that was neurodivergent in that same team. And I found out I wasn't alone that night, that he did exactly the same.
Oh, wow.
But what that meant was we were ahead in a project. We basically pushed ahead an extra day.
Yeah.
From being absolutely obsessed of, no, I just want to know the answer. I just want to do the fix and really get into it. And so, yes, it's tiring, it's exhausting. Don't get me wrong. There are certainly negatives to it, but I think one of the things that I'm passionate about is everyone knows the negatives, right? And whether it be autistic, they think first people that they think of is people like Rain Man, as in the wider general public.
Stereotypes.
Yeah, which is can't really connect with emotions, very much a robot and a database, and that's about it. Someone with ADHD, the first thing that people on the outside think of, oh, that's the one where they're distracted all the time and they can't focus and things like that. The Tourette's, the first thing people think of is the swearing. They don't think about anything else.
One of my favorite streamers when I first got onto Twitch was a Tourette streamer, and now she's one of the biggest streamers out there. And I remember when she had I remember when she had like 10, 15 viewers, and I was just sitting there hanging out. And then I was like, I want to support this person. This is super cool. They're raising awareness. And now she is literally one of the spokespeople for Tourette's.
Absolutely. I'll get on to the sort of the other people, but there's a reason why I love focusing on the positivity of this, because we all know the negative stories. We all know the bad things about it. And the thing is, it's the bad things about it that sort of end up contributing to the fake news stuff, right? I love throwing this scenario out there. Like everyone's heard of the anti-vaxxers and things like that, right?
Yeah.
It's a big topic, and there's still hysterical parents that still feel that way about it. Oh, get this injection, your kid will be autistic, everything like that. And I remember that the focus ended up being of, this is incorrect news. This was a false experiment. This is, this isn't true. It's not the case. I remember looking at that and going, why the hell is this a news story? Like, if I was to say that there was a scientific study that basically said if you took the vaccine, you would end up with blue eyes.
Right.
It wouldn't be a news story.
No.
People would like go, why the hell are you mentioning that? What's the point? Why mention that? So what if I have blue eyes? That ain't a big deal, right?
Right.
And I just remember looking at it. It ended up being the
God, I want to write that article now.
Yeah. It ended up being the inspiration for me doing this positivity, because I'm like going, how is being autistic, having ADHD, being neurodivergent, how is it such a bad news story that the slightest hint that something might give you it and people end up with hysteria about it? Why is it not considered in the same way that we have different eye colours or with different skin colours or anything like that? Why is it considered as such a bad thing? Right. And the reason why is because all we think of is the bad stories. The autistic kid that might have, in a fit of rage, burnt down his parents' house. Those sort of hysterical stories. Which, by the way, if I was a parent and that's all I heard about, I'd be bloody worried about it as well.
Yeah.
But there's so much more to it. There's that is such a small part of it, and actually the positivity side of it. Like, if could you imagine if being neurodivergent was described to the wider public as a somebody who will always do the hyper focus into research, will always give you the best answer because it's thoroughly researched, will give you
Right.
a different opinion or anything like that, everyone would take the vaccine if that missed news story came out,
Right.
because they would consider it as a superpower. And so for me, it's like, I get that people are focusing on it's false news,
Right.
but it's like, let's divert the attention away. Like, let's bring this positivity. And ultimately, we focus on, in terms of mental health, that you want to think about the positive sides about you, what you bring to society, and that helps you feel worthy, that helps your mental health build up. Well, then it's not exactly going to help if you have a condition that all you hear about is the negative.
Yeah.
Because then you're going to think of, oh, I'm a burden to society. By the way, the whole thing is BS, firstly. But even though it's BS, even I still believe it, because I still think about the negative stuff before the positive stuff. And so actually we end up with this situation where obviously no one's properly done the research, but I bet if you were to look into the anxiety and the depression and everything like that, that the highest amount might be in the neurodivergent community, because they feel like they don't fit in. They feel like they're not worthy. They feel like there's something wrong with them. They feel, and that's all because of almost this spreading of news that has happened of
Bullshit.
it. And so
Spreading of bullshit. I'll say it.
it's not, though. That's the thing. It's not.
Some of it is. You know, like the vaccines cause autism. That's bullshit.
The vaccines cause autism is the bullshit side of it. Definitely. Right. But I'm just talking about the negative news stories about that side of things. Like, it is true that there have been autistic teenagers that, through a meltdown, have burnt down a house. There's no two ways about it. That is a correct news story.
True. Okay.
There's no doubt about it that ADHD is distracted, but it's this. That's what satirizes the news for the public. Now, thankfully, in neurodivergent communities, we see past that and everything like that. But there's only so much you can do to fight it when you've got this noise being shouted at you, like going, you know, even well-meaning friends will say to me, "Oh, it must be so difficult being autistic." Like, nah, not at all.
Because you've lived with it your whole life, right? So I mean,
exactly.
Doesn't
and even I still remember this, right? That when was this? 2018, I believe it was. And this really fired everything up. That was like, oh, I need to look into this. That I was at a live show. I was doing some small talk. Now I want to give some background information on this. At that time, I was renting a small apartment. I was working in a call center. I had a very old car that I had to take a loan out for to get that car. So I wasn't doing well, right? I was doing okay, but I wasn't doing well. And I was having the small talk with this couple next to me, and they were well-meaning about it. We were talking about neurodiversity and things like that, amongst other things, especially because the person I was speaking to was a special needs teacher, so taught. And she said to me, "You know, you're an inspiration. Like, look at you, you've got a job and you've got a car and you've got a roof over your head. You're an inspiration." And I'm like, how bad does it have to be that working the average job, that having the average life is the thing to aim for?
Yeah, timer's about to go off, by the
way. When you're growing up, you think of those people that...
I was warning you. I was warning you so you could prepare.
Exactly. So, I mean, this is the thing. Nowadays, I'm happy with that tag of being inspirational. I work as a manager. I am, thankfully, this role model, which I really appreciate, and I've got a comfortable life where I'm like, yeah, I'm happy to see myself as an inspiration to those that are growing up, let's say. But when you're a kid, you don't aim for the call center job.
Right.
You aim to be an astronaut. You aim to be a celebrity. You aim to be a sports star. And actually, the problem is the fact that there are so many that were neurodivergent in these big,
Right.
big roles. They didn't know it until they stepped into the outside world because they were just surrounded by people that, because they were considered such a talent, all these weird things they might have been saying or doing, nobody really questioned it because
Right.
it's like you're the money to me, so I'm just going to say yes to anything that you say,
Right.
basically. And so, actually, when I start seeing about these celebrities, Eminem, Fern Brady, Lewis Capaldi, Billie Eilish,
Billie Eilish, contemporary musician on my list, guys. Billie Eilish. Sorry.
lovely, lovely, love it.
I love her stuff.
Even Greta Thunberg and Chris Packham, all these sort of people. I'm literally looking at it, and I'm going, finally, there's a role model. What are we now saying to those that are growing up with neurodiversity? That if you want to be a performer and a musician, you can be, because the very best have done that. If you want to be a sports star, you can be, because the very best are doing that right now. If you want to be a genius in the tech world, you can do that, because guess what? People are doing that right now. And so I'm now looking at it with positivity, that we're now getting onto that upwards trajectory, that we're now starting to see it as more than just these negative news stories,
Right.
and that now we can see the good that can come from it. So guess what? Parents are less ashamed of it. The people themselves are less ashamed of it. And guess what? They can aim high. They don't have to go, "Oh, I'll just do a small college course and whatever
Right.
whatever comes my way. I just need to be appreciative of it." Which, by the way, we are appreciative and everything like that. And by the way, another great example, I'm going to call them out in chat, is Penny, right?
But I was going to
Because
talk about Red and Penny. I was going to talk about both of them.
yeah, because for me, I remember there was an experience that Penny spoke about, which is that almost like have that conversation with the kid as if they are a young adult, right? Have the good conversations with them. That was much better than everybody else. Now, here's the thing. People used to say that people that are autistic, people that are ADHD, struggle with compassion, struggle with emotions. Penny right there,
right,
not only smashes that barrier, but sets it on fire, as
Mhm.
if to go, why the hell do you really think that? Actually, we are more in tune.
Much
We are
more, yeah.
we're overthinking things. We're really going to make sure that our kid has what they need. Our kid has the support that they need.
Yeah.
That if I give a rule out to my kids, I'm going to explain the reason behind the rule. I'm not just going to say, don't touch the oven.
Yeah.
I'm going to say, it's going to really hurt you to touch that oven,
You're
and
not
I
going to
really
say
don't
get
want
the
you to.
because I said so answer.
Exactly. And so all of a sudden, the kid is being made aware of things where means that they are ready in life. Because guess what? When you grow up from being a kid to being an adult, you can't just not do something because your parents told you to, or do something because your parents told you to. You have to be living on your own as an adult and make your own choices as an adult based off the little principles that are being given from parents, from teachers, from all these sides of things, where you fit it together and you make it into you. And so actually you end up with a kid who's not sheltered. You end up with a kid who is more aware than anybody else. You know, people used to make the comments about me because I threw myself into the outside world. Thanks to my parents is almost pushing me to go, do it, do
Yeah.
it, do it. Where when people used to have conversations with me and they would try and guess my age, they couldn't guess my age because I looked 15, even though I was like in my mid 20s. But I spoke like a 40-year-old because I spoke like I had experience.
Yeah.
Because of the way that I'd been pushed into it. Now, by the way, the funny twist is I'd always thought that my dad was autistic. Turns out it might be my mum, and that's where I got it from.
That's funny.
Which was one of those, you know, like the twist in the tail. Like, I'm sorry, what did you just say?
Hold on, wait, rewind. Yeah, that's funny.
It was like, it's great because all of a sudden, when I say this, my relationship with my parents is they are my best friend. And I don't mean in terms of, oh, I like them so much. I mean, we can have solid conversations about so many scenarios. My dad can have conversations with me about the dramas that happened either at his workplace or the workplace before, knowing that I'm basically going to be the guy at the bar listening next to him, listening and just
don't spit in his
explaining.
glass and...
Well, yeah. That's thankfully the waiter will notice, the bartender will notice that and wash it out. But yeah, like
I gotta
in
put a little
terms
levity in a serious conversation.
but yeah, it's like I'm having that conversation with my dad, and my dad knows that he can have the conversation with me. I'm not. Yes, I'm his son, but I'm also his brother, his bro, in a mental sense, where we can have conversations about certain things. I will approach to him. I will ask him for advice in areas he's got experience in. He works as a financial advisor, so guess what? I will approach him for financial advice, going, you do this as a job, so help me out here. And in the same way, my dad will do the same with me, of going, right, you dealt with this before. How should I deal with this? Or you've had conversation, the classic example, the good example is when during lockdown, I spent a lot of time with my grandmother, and we were like the bubble together that was allowed during COVID. Now, last year, because of the age that my grandmother was going to, basically my parents and my grandmother sold up and moved in together. And my dad approached me and basically said, right, you've spent one-on-one personal time a lot with your grandmother more recently than we have. Tell us what to expect. Tell us what might be the surprises. Tell us this, tell us that. Because even though I'm the son and I don't have the experience that my dad does, but in that one specific area, my dad appreciated that I did have the experience in that area. And I think that is one of the positives, is that because of me being neurodivergent, my dad recognized I love equal footing. I love us talking as bros on something. And so it ends up being, when I lived under them, I really struggled, but we now have literally nothing could separate me and my dad, because we are bros now, not father and son, which sounds very weird, but in a neurodivergent thought process, it actually makes entirely amount of sense, because my dad's looking after his house, I'm looking after my house, we're equals now. Like, that's how it works. So it actually is a really good one on that. I've just literally seen the one from Toasty Toasties that I've just
I was gonna start to catch up on stream. I was like, I'm just gonna cut you off for a second, and we'll get the chat here.
Yeah, let's get a chat, because there's some ones I like on this.
There's some good one. Penny says, I will say that, going back to talking about the vaccine thing that you were talking about, and people was talking about that has happened. People have come up and been like, is your son vaccinated, after they saw that he was autistic? And that's a shame. That's a shame that's like a stereotype now, and it's not necessarily
horrible,
a good one. Penny also says, I personally do struggle with autism as an autistic person raising autistic children, which you and I were talking about just now. Not because I view it as a bad thing, but because I didn't know I was autistic until I was an adult, and now learning about myself while trying to assist the children that have that is difficult. But you get to learn. Like, here's the thing about me. And this is only kind of related, but like, I grew up not knowing half of my genes. Like, I didn't know my biological father, I didn't know the history, and I grew up not knowing who I was. So I always had this struggle of who am I growing up. And so very similarly, like, not knowing and then trying to discover who you are and what this means and all of that. I understand that, and that's not easy. And then trying to explain to your kids, who then also, don't know as you're learning, is a huge.
And you know what, that there's conversations. It's called the missing generation, and we find it a lot more when it comes to mothers that are having this, right? But there was one particular scenario where a guy in his 60s, his name's, I love this, by the way, so his name is Alan Gardner, and he is a gardener, by the way. Literally, so he does like beautiful design of gardens and everything like that. And basically, he found out he was autistic from putting his son through the test to see if his son was autistic.
Oh, cool.
And basically, the person that was doing the diagnosis basically said, "Yes, your son is autistic. Great, just like you are." Sorry, what? So, but the thing the reason why I mentioned the missing generation is the fact that there was, and like I say, it's more of a problem or a situation that's happened amongst women and female femme people that basically they are better at acting than the guys are, is the best way of putting it, right? It was absolutely crystal clear that I was autistic because I was really struggling to fit in. The thing is that the girls can somehow fit in. And so what happens is that they end up being this perfect fit and everything like that. And only after they're in their 30s where they go, something doesn't feel right with me, I need to figure it out. That's when they end up, finding out. And so it's one of those sad situations because, again, it ends up being that they've ended up depressed 10 years beforehand because they don't feel like they fit in anywhere, even though everyone thinks they're a great person and everything like that.
Which is a lot of stuff that Penny's talking about too.
Yeah, exactly. And it is that thing of masking. This is the thing. Masking is so as a bit of an explanation, masking is very much someone who's neurodivergent pretending that they're neurotypical to fit in.
Yeah.
It's a survival technique. It's the best way of putting it,
totally,
right?
Totally.
But
learned behavior too.
Exactly. It's exhausting though. Like, imagine, I'm going to assume that everyone loves Star Wars here, right? And we all love Ewan McGregor as Obi-Wan Kenobi, right? I hate to break it to people, Ewan McGregor isn't Obi-Wan Kenobi. He's acting as Obi-Wan Kenobi.
He's acting as Obi-Wan Kenobi, who was acted by someone. Yeah.
Exactly. If you were to say to Ewan McGregor, right, I want you to live the rest of your life talking like Obi-Wan Kenobi, acting like Obi-Wan Kenobi, after about a month, he's going to go, I'm bloody sick of this.
Right.
This is not me. I can play Obi-Wan Kenobi, but Obi-Wan Kenobi is not me. There's more to me than that. Yeah. Autistic individuals, those that are neurodivergent, have been acting for years. And that's where the exhaustion comes in. That's where the mental fatigue comes in, because people see us as normal, but we're so not.
Right.
There are fascinations and things about us. I have a situation. Look, I might promote all the positivity for neurodiversity. I struggle with it myself. I have so many situations where I'm in a crowded room and I stay silent just in case I let a little bit of me slip. And these are people I love. These are people that appreciate me and I appreciate them. And I'm still quiet around because I'm nervous and I don't want the mask to slip and I don't want to appear as weird or anything like that. And yet I'm also promoting it, which is one of those weird things about it.
Yeah.
Where that masking, like I say, it's a survival technique. But even amongst your friends, you almost keep that mask on, even though they're people that appreciate you and love you. And so you end up just burnt out because you're like going, I've been playing a character that's not me.
Yeah.
And it's sad because it's, that's why I feel for women that have this condition, because they're better at it.
Yeah.
Like, I was fortunate. I was so bad at fitting in that my parents knew that something wasn't quite right with me, so they could get me tested and get me checked to make sure of that. So I learnt my identity sooner because I couldn't fit in.
Yeah.
And yet those that could end up with an identity crisis.
Yeah.
I feel so sorry for those that seem to do so well at it because they couldn't shout about them being different because no one believed them.
Yeah.
Which was so sad. It's one of those where, my heart goes out to those that are finding out about it, even as early as in their 20s.
Yeah.
Because
you don't get your whole childhood to do that.
Yeah. It's because they deserve the love. And also, because of that, they probably haven't found neurodivergent circles to feel comfortable in, which they're there. And so people can feel comfortable if they find it, but because they've spent 20, 30 years not being neurodivergent, as in not having the identity of it, they've not been looking for it. So then they almost end up alone as a result, because I don't fit in with these guys. As far as I'm aware, I'm the only neurodivergent person in the world, even though we know it's not true. So it's sad.
Let's
Anyways.
get to so Toasty Toasty says, I find the empathy is a tough one for cognitive atypical. I personally am all or nothing, either none or way too much. And Toasty Toasty is a great guy. He's been here. He's been in my house. He lives across the states, but he's come over to this neck of the woods for a couple of different events, and he's a great person.
I do love that, because the common misconception is that the communication issues, autistic people can't communicate, or autistic people don't have empathy. By the way, autistic people have a hell lot of empathy. They're thinking about other people all the time, right? But the communication thing is really funny. And the classic example is a neurotypical person will say, I'm hungry, right? What a neurotypical person means by that is, let's say it's in a work environment, I'm just about to get something to eat. Do you want to come with me and we'll eat together? If they're saying to you, I'm hungry, right? That's terrible communication. And a neurodivergent person will go, I'm fancy going out to McDonald's or Burger King. Do you fancy coming with me? That's perfect communication.
Right.
Because
I'm a communication major, and I'd even say some of that is, because there's two sides of a communication, right? There's the delivering and there's the receiving. And if a person isn't delivering that communication properly, that's one thing. But also you have to deliver it so that the person can receive the information properly.
Exactly. And that's the thing, is that neurotypical people, because basically there's so much in language that is code that's hardwired into everyone to talk about code of,
and innuendo and facial, emotions and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. And it's like, use big boy words, use grown-up words, just tell us,
use
right?
Complete sentences.
If you want me to go to somewhere with you, just tell me to do that. Because here's the thing, is that we're overthinkers and we don't want to come out as weird. So if somebody said to me, I'm hungry, I'm like,
go eat.
Okay, go eat. Or if someone would say to me, oh, I'm going to go to Taco Bell, the first thing I think of is, why are you saying that to me? Like, are you just showing off? Are you just boasting that you're going to go to Taco Bell? Whereas actually they're saying, I'm going to Taco Bell, do you want to come with me? Or do you want something from Taco Bell, right? And it's like, just say that. Because here's the funny thing, is that
it's like girls flirting. Just say
you
like me. Just say you like me. And then we can move on.
But this is the thing. The classic thing that told me that, in a weird way, neurodivergent people are the most.
I should have started the timer for potluck. We'd be. We're still trying to catch up on chat.
That neurodivergent people are actually the most normal, and I remember this. So I was in a scenario with friends, right, and one of them was doing psychology, right, and basically there is this test that allows them to see if you're a narcissist, if you're a psychopath, if you're a sociopath, right. And the scenario is, and by the way, I'd love to know what people's reactions would be, is you've gone to a funeral, right, and there is a member of your preferred gender that is also there, and they are gorgeous, they are beautiful. Even in the funeral, they are beautiful, right? The next day, the week after, you go to the same funeral home for another funeral. Why? Right? Now, the answers in terms of the sociopath and the psychopath is, it's their funeral somehow, right? The sociopath is, I want to see that person again, right? My response was neither. My response was, I must have just been really unlucky and had two friends that passed away.
Yeah, that's what I would have been like. Why? Who passed away?
And so we literally had this conversation, me and her, I will say I did have a crush on this person at the time. But past that, I was literally going, I don't understand the other answers. That doesn't make sense to me. Like that you're there for an event, you go there for an event, and we literally had this conversation, and by the end of it, she went, "Do you know what? I don't think neurodivergent people are narcissists or sociopaths or psychopaths. You'll find them in the neurotypical field." Because there's always subtext, there's always something extra. There's, whatever they say might not be what they mean, or they've got to, they're more likely to do silent treatment and everything like that.
Oh, I hate that. I hate the silent treatment. Is the most abusive, one of the most abusive social things in the world.
Yeah,
I say that to people all the time. Don't do the silent treatment. That's abusive. Yeah. That's abusive behavior. Period. End of subject.
Now, don't get me wrong. Those that are neurodivergent might do something that might be perceived as the silent treatment. But it's not, right? I'm not doing this. If I'm upset with someone, I'm not doing the silent treatment to upset them. I'm doing the silent treatment because it's like, I can't work out how I'm about to say this in a way that doesn't upset you, because that matters to me. I want to communicate that I'm upset, but in such a way that it doesn't upset you in response. I want it to be a mature conversation, and I've got to find the right words to say. So allow me that time just to work out the words. And you learn to communicate that. Penny mentioned about the spacing, just going, look, I'm going to be honest, you have upset me. I can't find the right way to say it at the moment.
Yeah.
Just let me try and form the words, and I'll speak to you. So it's still sort of the silent treatment.
But still say that. That way the person's not like
feeling
abused.
But a neurodivergent person will say that. It's almost like, yes, I'm upset, but I can't find the right words. And the great thing is that sometimes they'll literally say, right, okay, then just say it out to me. Don't, I'll dismiss any insults you do as wild talk or anything like that. I'll just listen to the facts behind what you're saying, right?
Yeah.
Or they'll say, that's fine. I'm not in a great place to be able to hear the wrong words, so I'll let you have that space to be the silent. You will never find somebody that wants to inflict psychological damage on others because they've been upset by somebody. I don't ever want revenge on somebody. I don't ever want to attack somebody back for what they say, no matter how much they've hurt me. Even if people have full on made me feel like crap, I still want the best for them. So I still want to communicate it in a way that goes, this is not a me problem. This is not a you problem. This is a us problem. How can we work it out together?
Yeah.
I don't want to hurt you, and I don't want to be hurt. So let's just discuss this together maturely, basically. So that's why I feel like neurodivergent people are the best on communication for it. So yeah.
Chat's totally agreeing with that. Most of the other stuff in chat is basically reiterating the stuff that you said or following up on the stuff that you said, all of that. So we're gonna, guys, sorry, I'm not gonna read them all word for word, because we'll be here all night because we like to chat here. We like to chat. We've still got a potluck to do. We've still got another 20 minutes, and by that I mean an hour. Oh, I love it. This is so great. I'm having a blast. Are you having a good time at least?
Oh, I'm loving it.
I don't want you to feel like that. You like, man, he said it's only about this long, and we're going. Like, I don't want you to, like, if you have to go, but
no, it's fine. I'll just reset the clock and just pretend that it's still midnight.
Okay, sounds good. Sounds good. I know it's late for you where you're at, so that's why it was. Yeah. That was my concern. I was like, I want to make sure that we try and get this at a normal time. So, do you get oral fixations? Ooh, is that from me, Toasty, or what? Y'all don't have anything to do tomorrow, right? No. I mean,
I booked the day off work, so I'm cool.
Nice. So, potluck, anything and everything. Maybe we bring up things we talked about in the past, and we're gonna bring up stuff we talked about in the past. We're gonna go back to talking about music because we've brought it up multiple times now. You've brought it up. I've brought it up. We've brought it up. So you mentioned Billie Eilish, and I was like, Billie Eilish is on my thing. I'm gonna talk about my current music, because you said you wanted to say something about that as well. Current contemporary musical artists. I do have, as Redneck Jedi said, I do have Taylor Swift on my contemporary artists. I like a lot of the stuff Taylor Swift says. Lizzo is like a hip hop singer, local to Minnesota. really contemporary. I like a lot of the stuff she does. I like the stuff she stands for. She's a lot of fun and it's just a really cool person. The Weeknd, I don't know what it is about the theme, the music of The Weeknd and what they do. It makes me feel like they're kind of 80s, but they're kind of not. So I really like The Weeknd. Imagine Dragons. There's just
I'm up for that.
There's an emotion, there's a feel to Imagine Dragons that I really like. I really enjoy that. And of course, Billie Eilish. I love. There's like she's introduced a whole genre of music and a way of singing that I just really enjoy. That kind of like, it's not necessarily whispery. It's not ASMR, but it's just like quiet singing. There's just something very unique about what she does and how she does it and the way she puts the music together and the messages she gives. So those are some of my top contemporary modern music that I listen to and I enjoy as well. I wanted to throw that out there. But you said you don't have a lot of those because you can't fill it in. But like I go out of my way. I go out of my way to listen at least once a month. I'm like, I got to listen to what's hot right now. What's the current contemporary new released music in the pop or rock type of genre. Hailstorm, Lizzie Hale, listen to that as well. Like, what is the current music of that? And I have to go out of my way and stay up to date so I can still feel like I understand what modern music is because it's still music, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think the thing is for me, I'm very much look. I'm always open to new music, but look, I'm a rock lover. I always love my rock as to that. So, there's people artists like Hardy that are yes they're modern, but I think the best way of putting it is I like contemporary artists if they're willing to show their connection to the roots. At some point every artist has been a contemporary artist at some point, right? That's just how it is.
Where they were, yeah.
Exactly. And I think the thing is the fact, and it's one of the things why I love the rock scene and the blues scene. They show their connections to the old guard, whether that be talking about their favorite artists that they listen to, whether that be Muse is a really good example. One of their famous songs, they took inspiration from another song, and they basically said, by the way, this is almost what we hear when we hear this song.
Yeah, there's a lot of that. Yeah, I've seen a lot
exactly.
of
And it's one of the things why I love, like, no contemporary artists in the rock scene will do that connection. Will show that connection that they've got, and they'll have these interviews where they're like going, yeah, my inspiration was this, and this.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, the funny thing is when it comes to the rock scene, when it comes to contemporary artists, most of them are in the pop scene. Most of them are in the electronic scene. K-pop is the thing, and things like that.
And I look at K-pop. It's not necessarily my thing, but it's like it's still music, right? It's still good music. I have friends that are like huge K-pop. They can name all the bands, and I'm like, they all sound kind of the same to me.
I think this is the thing: is the fact of a lot of, maybe this is just my exposure to a lot of pop and K-pop and all this. It always seems so happy-go-lucky. It's always positive. It's always boisterous. It's always,
which has its place. That has its place.
I always want to feel real. I want to feel real. I want to feel. I don't want to feel just happiness. If I want to feel positive, I want to feel triumph. I want to feel like you've won. Rather than just everything. Because this is the thing for me. People always say I'm overthinking. I'm literally going to go into overthinking right now. At the end of the day, society ain't positive. It ain't happy-go-lucky. We're not all on some... Yeah, we're not on some weed brownies or mushrooms where everything's all unicorns and rainbows and Tenacious D. Sorry, what?
Under the bus. Woo!
but that's not society. That's not life. And I don't want to listen to music to escape. I want to listen to music to feel a connection.
Okay.
I want to have that thing of going, yeah, guess what? Life is crap, but we can get over it. Or the emotions that besides, at the end of the day, almost I want to feel like I'm watching a movie.
Yeah.
And let's face it, a lot of movies basically have this subtext of, you know, oh, there's something negative that's happening, there's something negative, but we've got through it. So and for me, that is the side of things. By the way, in terms of Tenacious D, I know I've been crapping on them a lot. I do like a couple of Tenacious D songs. I have to say that just to shut Penny up. But
down in the mucky muck. Sorry.
So yeah, that like the thing for me is, and again, these are, you know, here is
sorry,
here
hold
is.
on. Penny says some people need a connection to the joy that awesome songs brought to us by Tenacious D bring us. Suck on that.
so this is the thing, like I get joy from a connection. That is simply it. In all seriousness, and like I say, when I'm listening to K-pop, probably because I don't understand the words, there's probably the words behind it actually might be something well-meaning or anything like that. But for me, it's like I don't. If I'm ever to go to a live show or anything like that, I don't do it to escape. I do it to get that connection and that that part of it. For me, it's, you know, and that's why I mentioned those artists. Leonard Skinner is probably the most bouncy of the lot of them that I mentioned, but it's that fight, it's that, and this is the thing, contemporary artists in the pop scene and everything like that, it is, you know, the things, they're all in major keys, they're all in positive keys and bouncy keys, and they don't feel real. Is the best way of putting it. I know that they're real people behind them. I know that side of the things. You know, I used to, like I say, I grew up listening to Calvin Harris as a good example. He was like the king of the electronic scene and the bouncy vibes and things like that. And yes, it's nice to listen to, but it's like, if I want to just get the Friday feeling, but actually for me, it's like, and look, I love my singing anyway. I like to perform it, and it's like, if I want to sing a song and do a karaoke of his song, I want to let it out. I want to give out emotions. And for me, yes, there's a lot of pop songs that do give out the emotion. I'm not downplaying that, but just that entire scene, it gets drowned out with everything's also happy and everything's unicorn and rainbows. And for me, that's not what.
I highly suggest you check out Hailstorm.
Oh, by the way, Hailstorm is one of those ones. I mean,
because that's modern and contemporary, but that is not happy-go-lucky. That is
no. I don't.
Lady Gaga. Oh yeah, Lady Gaga. What the hell? Contemporary Lady Gaga is amazing.
Oh yeah, even that. Look,
like, time to rewind a little bit. Think about that a bit.
Look, here's the thing, Lady Gaga. I mean, again, this is where we're going into it. You say Lady Gaga, I preferred Sia, right? Because Sia felt more emotional. Sia felt more.
But Sia's still also kind of contemporary, or maybe that's just because we're old.
Oh yeah, it's she's certainly considered contemporary, but there's emotion in there. And look, here's the thing.
I think Penny was more upset about your Lady Gaga smack talk than Tenacious D.
Okay, you tell me the realism behind Poker Face or Paparazzi or any of the other songs. Like, here's the thing, that I will say this, in terms of positivity for Lady Gaga, I'm going to mention this, is the fact that her love for her community is absolutely amazing, and that's the real side of it. Her talking about her little monsters and all that side of things. it's
Sorry, I'm
it's
dancing. I've got a song stuck in my head. I can't get it out now. You said
Um,
poker
it-
face, and now the entire song's playing in my head. I'm like, no, stop! I can't. Poker face.
so yeah. I mean, this is the thing: is the fact it is just it feels like a drug escape, for want of a better word. And there's nothing wrong with that, by the way. If you want to have like an escape, there's nothing wrong with that. It just doesn't work for me personally, and you know, this is one of those interesting things, and that's why I mentioned about the top tens. I'm not saying that my top 10 artists are any better than contemporary artists.
Yeah.
I'm not
Or somebody
saying
else's top 10, right?
yeah, I'm not saying that they even have better talent. I'm not saying that the guys that I have better vocals
but it's
they
for you.
feel
That's your top 10. That's the people
exactly.
that mean something to you for reasons that are specific to you.
And their songs feel like, again, this almost goes back to the neurodiversity side of things.
Yeah.
There's no subtext. This is not like, oh, there's this happy bouncy thing, but the vocals not like was it Dolly Parton or there was one song from the Motown scene where it was this bouncy tune, but it was actually talking about somebody leaving them, and it was all the words were all. It's like, look, if I want, I want to feel the connection everywhere. If somebody wants to do an uprising, I want to hear the power of the guitars. If somebody's talking about something emotional to them, I want the noise to be quiet, where it's just one guitar in the background that is basically supporting it. I don't want it where the tune says happy but the lyrics say sad. That doesn't make sense to me. No, unless they're talking about sarcasm or being sarcastic. Nobody in a joyful mood goes, "Hey, my life is falling apart," or anything.
Yeah, I can
we
see
don't
that.
do
I can
that.
see that.
Yeah.
See, and I never really thought about that because I was always my mom was always you need to listen to the lyrics of this. And I was like, I listened to the lyrics dead last. Let me rephrase that. I translate what the meaning of the lyrics are dead last. Because for me, it's about the music. It's about the sound in my ears. They could say any fucking words they want. And for me, it's like, I want to hear the music. I want the feel of the music and whatever. And then when I translate the words, if they translate in a way that makes sense, then that song's that much cooler. And if it doesn't, then whatever, I'll sing the words in the tune of whatever because I enjoy it. And the people that come in here all the time, there's a reason Sunstrider made the joke about Epic Realms being his favorite. I'm a horrible singer. I hate I hate hearing myself singing. But the thing is music will be in my ears and I can change the words to whatever the hell I want because it's entertaining. So if I'm playing a game and something happens, I'll put the words in there and a song will back it. And I will reword a song on the fly because for shits and giggles. And sometimes I don't even realize I'm doing it. But it's because for me, it's the music and the words and the lyrics. If they coincide with the way the music is, that just makes that so much of a better song. So much more awesome to me. To go, oh my God, this is amazing that these are the words and this is what they mean.
Yeah. And look, I know I'm going back to going about Muse here, is the fact that that's what I love, is that what you hear is what the lyrics mean as well. You don't need to hear exactly.
Little bit of snack. Did someone say snack? Snack, snack. Snacky, snacky, snack, snack, snack. Gotta get a snack, snack, snack. Gotta get a snacky, snack, snack, snack. For the puppy dog, snacky, snack, snack. For the adult, they snacky, snack, snack. Gotta have snacks. You gotta have snacks. Gotta have all the snacks because they're tasty. Yeah, gotta have the snacky snacks. Yeah. Thank you, Toasty Toesies, for playing the Snacky Snack song. That one I don't even think is based off of a real song. I had a tune in my head, and I dropped lyrics to the tune that was running in my head. I had a backing track on that in my brain. My brain had a backing track playing that. Completely made up music in the background. Almost all of my alerts are me singing to stupid songs, and that's freaking... Thanks, Toasty Toesies, for reminding me how embarrassing I am sometimes.
Yeah. But yeah, just going back to, like I say, talking about Muse, what you hear is what you get, right? There is one of my favorite songs that they ever did is a song called Soldier's Poem, right? and it is, you know, the song is almost like it's an acoustic sort of middle finger at society, but you hear that in the tune of like going, this is one soldier just talking about how annoyed he is that he's in the war he's in, that he's got nothing to do with, and he's angry with people. Uprising, it's called Uprising for a reason. It's a protest song, and it's designed like a protest song. Like, you can't help but like clap along to it, because the whole idea of it is the fact that it's meant to get a whole audience, which, by the way, no feeling that can be beaten than hearing 3,000 people clapping in unison together to this sort of like, right, we're going to fight the power.
I think that's why Eminem is really good, for the same reason. Like,
yeah,
if you
exactly.
hear his song about Stan, you're like, you know, you get what the song Stan is about. But
the
if
emotion,
he's like, if he's angry in a song, you get that he's angry in a song. If he's being Slim Shady and being just stupid, you can hear that he's just being stupid and having a stupid, silly song about being stupid and silly. Like, you know, not just the lyrics, but his tone, and he's still just rapping. So
yeah, exactly. And here's the thing: is the fact of the you know, they make it clear that they're being daft, or they make it clear that they're being serious.
Yeah.
But again, a lot of contemporary stuff, especially in the pop music scene, so contemporary and rock and blues might not be the same, but I hear so much in the pop scene where it's like, oh, it sounds like I'm being daft, but actually I'm actually doing a middle finger up to my ex-boyfriend. And it's like, don't mess me around here. I don't. I want to. If I want to hear a happy song, I want to be able to get out of a happy song, not a happy song that's got negative undertones to it.
Yeah.
And I think that's the thing, is that when it comes, obviously, I do have my love of real musical instruments, no doubt about it. But there is also that thing of, everything needs to come together as part of that. That if you want to do an FU to the whole world, make the song sound like it's an FU to the whole world. If you want to do a love song, make it sound like a love song. If you want to do a happy song, make it sound like a happy song with no subtext. And then I, as somebody who's autistic, don't then end up hearing a song that I really like and enjoy and everything like that, and then somebody goes, "Oh yeah, so that happy song. Did you know that that's actually them talking about their partner of 20 years cheating on them with 10 different people and how annoyed they are of them?" Well done, you just ruined.
Yeah.
But well done, that just ruined the song for me. And I'm
Yeah.
not saying it's you that ruined the song for me. I probably would have figured that out myself later on. That's just ruined the song. I hate it now because that didn't tell me that at all from that tune. And that's why, by the way, funnily enough, Taylor Swift I struggle with, because all of her songs sound happy, but they're actually an FU to all of her ex-boyfriends by the sounds of things.
Oh, no.
Maybe that's the way I read it. Is the fact that, like,
you're gonna get Red in the chat now. Now you've got two people fighting you. You're gonna have Penny for Tenacious D and Red for Taylor Swift.
But I'm not saying, this is the thing, is that I'm not saying these are not talented people. Of course they are. They're incredible people. In fact, you see it when you have mixed matches where you'll find out that, you know, like I say, Rihanna's done stuff with Extreme and things like that.
Yeah.
The contemporary and the rock end up mixing together. So I'm not saying they're not talented people. And by the way, I can't love the Foo Fighters and not say that Taylor Swift is a skilled musician, because bloody Dave Grohl has told me Taylor Swift is amazing. So I have to say it.
Right.
But it's just, and different strokes for different folks here. Like, I can't handle musical confusion. I can't handle it.
That's fair
I
enough.
have to, and it sounds like it might not be a neurodivergent thing in me. It might just be a me thing, because Penny feels differently, and so does Becky. It's just, again, I want to feel real, extreme.
Hey.
Yeah, it's like I say, that this is not. It's the way these things speak to me. It's not got nothing to do with I don't like these artists. It just don't feel a connection. In the same way that not everyone that you're gonna meet you're gonna have a connection with, that you're gonna be friends with. Not all of your work colleagues you're gonna get on with as friends. Some of them you're gonna get on with them as literally as associates. So if you're a decent person, you've got good qualities, but we don't connect on a friendship basis. That's not an insult. It's just that's life. And in a similar sort of way, pop artists I don't feel a connection, and so I'm not going to listen to it on repeat. I will say, again, going back to this thing of contemporary but feels real. One of my favourite contemporary artists is Emma McGann. She's a wonderful artist. I mean, she's a local musical artist. She has a Twitch channel as well that she does unplugged every day. But she does pop, but it's blues pop. So it is emotional, and it's clear it's emotional. And so yeah, I've seen her live twice, and absolutely amazing every single time. And she's a good friend as well, someone I've met at Twitch cons and things like that. But yeah, it's not that I don't like contemporary. I just need to feel the emotion from the contemporary straight away without having to read into into the lyrics. Basically, that's it.
You were talking about like feeling the things, and like I said, I don't necessarily I couldn't tell you the lyrics to a lot of their songs, but sometimes, and this is going back to like the emotions and expressing emotions through music. Sometimes when I'm feeling angsty and ragey, like I will throw on a Stabbing Westward, I will throw on a Godsmack. I couldn't tell you the lyrics to their songs, but I love them. Like I crossed Godsmack off my list because I had too many, but I was like, there are sometimes you just need that music to get those emotions out of your body. And going back, like now I'm having this conversation, I'm like, I wonder what their lyrics really mean and what they are. I should probably look into that, because it's like if one of them's a love song, that's going to be really freaking weird. And now I'm like, if I find that, and now I'm like, maybe I shouldn't look that up. Maybe I shouldn't find out and ruin it for me. I'll just continue being oblivious and just continue with the angry, rage music. So.
well, there's that one, and I know obviously that this band in particular has had negative press around them, so I don't necessarily endorse their music. But Rammstein is a good example of that.
Oh yeah.
Right.
I only know Du Hast. That's the only song of theirs I know.
Well, Du Hast is a classic example, right? Like the lyric is actually just said, "You got me." It's almost like a love song.
Is it got or is it hate?
You have me.
Oh, I always thought it was you hate.
No, it's have.
Whoa, you just blew my mind. For years, I thought it was like you hate me.
Yeah. And then there's also one of the most recent songs, which is Adieu, right? It's a heavy song, but it's them saying goodbye to friends. Like it's literally saying, this is our last embrace, this is our last kiss as friends.
Okay.
We're not going to see each other again. I'm sorry to say that. And it's like the emotion that's in there, but you don't get it because it's in German.
Yeah.
So it's like
had no idea.
Exactly. Yeah. And so yeah, that's the thing, is that I love the emotion in that, because when I can detect the emotion, and again, Adieu is a really classic example of that, because even though it's in German, you can hear the artist's heart breaking, and it's a heartbreaking song. And I don't even speak the language. I get it. And so yeah, it's special. It's special. This thing is that music's meant to be a connection to the heart, not necessarily a connection to our heart, but a connection from the artist's heart to us. And I think one of the sad things is that contemporary music nowadays, has a lot of recording labels, where sometimes the recording labels will tell the artist what to sing, or tell the art, and so it doesn't feel, you don't know if it's real or not. Whereas a lot of, especially in the rock industry and everything like that, they dictate to the record labels, we're going to be doing this. You can stay with us or you can leave. And so it is from the artist. It is from the artist's heart, and so it feels more. look, I'm gonna do positivity about Tenacious D. They probably don't have a record label with Jack Black and Kyle Grass, because the shit that comes out from them comes from Jack Black, comes from Kyle themselves.
Yeah.
Like that's one of the good things about Tenacious D is it's Tenacious D. It isn't Warner Brothers telling Tenacious D what to do.
Right.
It
It's
isn't
them just doing their own goddamn thing.
Exactly. We want to goof, we want emotion, everything like that. Don't give a crap about what anybody else
The
tells us
fact
what
that
to
they
do.
got a movie
Oh, yeah.
based on that, just,
Do you know what?
I love it. I love it.
But my dislike for them might just come from the movie, because one of my favorite songs was obviously what's their epic where they're talking about the fight with the devil.
Yeah, the
The
greatest
great-
song that ever happened or whatever.
Yeah, that one, right? It's never. It's tribute. That's
song,
the one,
yeah,
right?
tribute
Yeah,
song, thank you.
right. Tribute's not in the Tenacious D movie.
No, it's not.
And that pissed me off no end. Because I'm like, I'm looking forward to that scene where I get to hear tribute, and it ain't fucking in there. Like, why do you have to missell me that sort of shit, man? At least with what's the robots? Who did robots? I can't remember them, but they're like another comedy act that's similar to Tenacious D. At least all of their songs are in their TV programs and series that they did. Like, they're not taking the piss, but it genuinely was like the worst bit of baiting I've ever had from a band. And I do love the band, but why the hell was Tribute not in there?
That's funny. All right, as we're winding down here, you know, we finished all of our topics, but I do want to talk about your streaming. You've got a podcast. I did the shout out like while we were just chatting just now, so you guys can go ahead and click that link or hit the heart button if you saw it. You guys can follow Ninja and watch the live streams playing video games and stuff like that. Tell us about the podcast. People can find it on Spotify. You're looking for people to write up and come and be guests, right?
Yes, absolutely. So this is the thing for me. I've always been quite passionate about this. Is that the phrase goes out that if you've met one neurodivergent person, you've met one neurodivergent person, right? And whilst I can campaign for neurodiversity positivity and speak about things from my perspective, it is purely one perspective. That is genuinely it. And so the guest is all about, at the end of the day, it's a neurodivergent community, and you want to hear inspirational. And so, yeah, I'm always looking for guests, because at the end of the day, any guests that I have on my chat on my podcasts will, yes, there'll be things that we connect with, of course, but there'll be things that they talk about where I go, I've not actually had that experience. Tell me about that experience, because there's going to be somebody that's going to connect with that. I can only do so much for the neurodivergent community, because I've only got so many experiences that can help out with that. So I'm always open for more guests, because those perspectives are all that side of things. The long-term goal is that it ends up being so public that, those of the neurodivergent community can go, oh, wow, I didn't realize that person was autistic, or that person had ADHD. I've got another inspiration. So yeah, always looking for guests on the podcast for that.
There you go, guys. Go there. There is the link. Click on it, go on over to Spotify, follow, subscribe, rate, review, all of those things, and sign up to be on a guest on there. How often do you... Okay, here's a couple of questions. How often do episodes go out? Are they on a regular schedule, or are they just whenever you get around to doing it? And what are their links? All of that. Tell us about that kind of stuff, so people kind of know what to expect when they get into that.
So right now, the episodes that are on that Spotify podcast is almost like the introductory episodes, getting ready for the first interview. And so right now, it's sort of on a bit of a pause at the moment.
Okay.
So the reason being, there is somebody that we are basically what happened was we had our first guest ready. And it's been somebody that Creepy Peach, some people know her, she's an amazing person, and literally just at the point that she agreed, she also ended up moving house. Okay. So all of that ended up sort of delaying it, and so we're right at this moment ready for the guests. The podcast is ready to let loose. So right now there is no schedule at all. It's
Okay.
literally as soon as
So
soon
people
as the
can
guests
get in
come.
on the ground floor right now. They can get in
Yes,
right at the ground floor
absolutely.
of this show.
Absolutely. The episodes that are there are nice little 10-minute episodes that's literally just like talking about little subjects that matter the most to me, about why is there a need for positivity in the first place, what neurotypical people can do. By the way, that's worth pointing out here. This is a neurodivergent podcast, let's say, but actually the listeners I sort of want to listen to this are those that are neurotypical, because they hold the key. Whilst those that are neurodivergent could be knocking on the door going, I've got a good idea. Most of the time it's going to be a neurotypical person that's going to open the door to allow them in, to allow them to provide that idea. So it's just as important than that. So absolutely, this is currently on the ground floor. And, what it basically means is we are welcoming all guests. And as soon as we start getting the guests, we can start the scheduling. We can start getting the conversations going, getting everything going in terms of that, and start releasing these regular moments so you guys get to hear more perspectives on the same subject, because that's all it's all about. So yeah.
Awesome. I look forward to that, and hearing some of those. Maybe I'll swing on over and join you one of those days. Not necessarily being neurodivergent myself, but I do have a lot of perspectives on that world. And my wife is she works in a mental health clinic as well, so she sees a lot of the people that don't have the coping mechanisms and need the coping mechanisms and need to learn and don't know. And so I hear a lot about stuff in that as well. So I know a lot about a lot of things, and that is one thing I really enjoy talking about as well, is mental health and neurodivergency and all of that stuff. And maybe I can come on and talk about some of the things that I think.
That'd be awesome. Definitely to get a third person perspective on it, and sort of like, because I suppose this is the brilliant thing about it is, like I said, neurotypicals will probably listen to the podcast as well, and sometimes absolutely, hopefully they do. And for me, sometimes it's that connection. Neurotypical people, probably the first thing they think of when it comes to neurodiversity is when someone who is neurodivergent is acting out, when they sort of like see the symptoms rather than the stuff going on behind the scenes. And I very much have that appreciation that, let's say that you talk about certain circumstances that your partner's seen as part of that going, right, you saw the act out, here's probably what was going on in their mind before that act out even happened. Whenever there's a meltdown or a breakdown or anything like that, there's probably been about an hour's worth of mental torture, let's say, that's gone on behind it. I can sort of maybe fill in the gaps of, so that then that, if somebody who's neurotypical then sees that, then they can sort of see the signs, see if they're doing, someone who's neurodivergent is doing something that basically means in 15 minutes, if they don't get the support, they're going to cause a scene. They don't want to cause a scene, but it's going to happen. I think this is the thing, is that we are in this situation where there's a lot of neurotypical people that the love is there and they want to help, but there's no guidance in going, here's what you can do to help. Here's where you can help. And so actually having that arm around the shoulder going, I can tell you're struggling. And I can tell you're struggling. I don't know why. I just get the feeling you're struggling. Do you want to talk?
Yeah.
Do you need a quiet room? And thankfully, we're in a situation where it is improving. My boss has noticed that every now and again. In my previous job, anytime I did this, that was like, I'm about 10 minutes away from exploding right now. And so literally my boss would, and it was my tell, but I didn't even realize it was a tell.
Yeah.
Until I asked my boss about it. Like, how did you know? It was like, well, when
that's
you
why
do
it's a
that,
tell. You don't know it.
Yeah, exactly. But do you know what? That was why that boss was like one of my favorite bosses, because she was staring, almost looking for the patterns, trying to see how to stop it before. And actually, it's that side of things that we want to try and start highlighting is, autistic people, neurodivergent individuals have a tell where you can help them out before before their problem becomes a group social problem, before it becomes a group problem, so that you can help them without feeling hurt yourself.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, getting a neurotypical perspective on things a few episodes down the line, at the end of the day, again, as I mentioned when we were talking about neurodiversity, a neurodivergent person and a neurotypical person is the perfect team if they can work together. So, of course, every now and again on the podcast, we're going to have someone who's neurodivergent and someone neurotypical talking about this situation, because we want to solve the problem together.
Yeah.
That's how it is. So yeah, it's a deep passion of mine, and I am so blessed to be in a situation where I am close to that the podcast setting off and jetting off, and hopeful for the future.
Well, you know me, as far as podcasts go, you can always reach out to me if you have any questions. If you want to get on all the platforms and distribution and all of that stuff, whatever you need, man, you just let me know, and I will be there to help you out and walk you through any podcasty information you may or may not need. I mean,
fantastic.
You might already be like, I've got this guy in my back pocket. I just pull him out and he's going to do all the things. But I'm just offering to you, reach out to me for anything you need, any questions you have. I am here to help you out.
Yeah.
So.
And one last bit is, I'm just going to do one little bit of promo, because I know I was talking about. So one of the other things I do gaming live and everything like that, but the other big part of especially my YouTube is talking about the Formula One stuff, and also the explanation of the stuff in Formula One, both the stuff on the track, the stuff off the track, but also sort of like the recognition, of welcoming the new fans in. One of my latest YouTube videos, which started to build up a little bit, is which F1 team should I support when I'm watching F1, which is like a personality test. Like there is a perfect F1 team for the person that loves a bit of drama. There's a perfect F1 team for a guy that loves to rage. There's a perfect F1 team for the guy that loves a little bit to put their emotion into it, and like they're heartbroken and all that side of things. Be interesting to see which one you are. I'd love you to watch the YouTube video and go, okay, then I'm following this team. When I'm watching the Formula One race I'm getting into, this is the team I'm going to be following for it, because genuinely the teams are so different in their personalities and their perspectives, even though they're doing exactly the same bloody thing. And it's so funny to see like that side of things. But yeah, we do a lot of YouTube videos that's like talking about those brilliant stories of drivers, the brilliant stories of teams, and we do reactions to races, but actually it's the nitty-gritty that we love talking about, because that's where the drama is. So definitely on the YouTube, the videos are there.
Share me that the personality test link on Discord.
Okay.
You can even just post it in the Discord. I know Toasty Toesi's posted a video for the two of us as well in my Discord. So, and he tagged us both. So we'll have to get in on there. So which one is the F1 guy who keeps singing "Smooth Operator" on the CB?
Oh yes, Carlos Sainz.
There you go. There's your answer.
If you like the guy that's Smooth Operator, then you'll love the Williams F1 team. By the way, they have a Duracell battery as their sponsor, and it actually is perfectly fit on there, which is just fantastic on there. But Smooth Operator, really funny. A Spanish guy just decided to karaoke over the.
That's great. I love it. I'm gonna have to definitely check out some F1 now, because it sounds like the professional wrestling of the race car world is what it sounds like to me. So
it's certainly daft as a side of it. So what I'll do is I'll get before I let me send that over.
I should have said that after we went off stream, so you wouldn't get distracted.
Yeah. So I've sent the because I want to make sure I get sleep straight away after this. So I've sent you the YouTube video on Discord if you wanted to share it, and let me know which one is yours. But yeah, it's F1 is always going to be like sort of the second place passion for me, because guess what? I hyper focus into it. It's my obsession. So
I sent the list to you. I said, "What are some things that you want to do?" And you're like, "I don't really topics. What do you mean? These two? But what do you mean by topics? These two, right here. But the topics. I don't know. I'll have to think about it. But these two." And I knew neurodivergency. I'm like, I want to have you on. That was one that I'm like, I need to talk about that with you. And then you're like, and then F1 and what topics? I don't know about topics, but F1 for sure. I was like, okay, let's do it. We're doing it. We're doing it. So.
It's I just love the passion that's behind there. The politics make it even funnier, but also, like I say, the stories that are behind there, the amazing, like, it's such a hard sport to get into, an expensive sport to get into. So actually you see as well, where guy one of the racing driver, his dad took out 9 mortgages on his house to fund his son's racing career because he knew how good he was. And now he's one of the best ever. And actually you see these inspirational stories and it's like, wow, there is such a love and such an appreciation
who's
from these drivers.
First I want to know, who's the bank that goes, yeah, you've already got 8 mortgages? Yeah, we'll give you one more. We'll give you a 9th one. Sure. Here you go. We know you're good for it.
Yeah, I mean, especially as like literally just before he did those mortgages, he actually like gave up his job as well. So he stopped being an IT manager and started to become a handyman, just so that he could spend time with his son. But the reason is it is one of the most expensive sports to get into. Even the junior categories, it's like £500,000 or $500,000 a year, and it's like, what it's one of the sad things that's about it is the fact of there's a reason why it's got the perception of it being a rich guy's motorsport, which is because it is bloody expensive in the first place, which is sad. But thankfully they're doing things like academies and things like that to try and bring in the talent. Even Red Bull, one of the teams, they did they do like an academy thing where they got US guys from the US. Scott Speed was one of the US drivers where they brought him in from like sort of just your classic go-kart driver that they wanted to train up. But like I say, it's such a family there, that a family vibe in there, because they've all gone through the same struggles to get where they've gone. But there's a lot to rage about as well. Is the best way of putting it. And if you were to watch any of the YouTube videos that I've done, I've done a bit of raging against certain individuals as well. So very interesting.
Well, people can get on that. I'll post that link in our Discord later on this evening. Guys, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for hanging out. Please stick around for the raid. We're going to continue some of the thematics here from tonight on our raid guests. So, TheNDNinja, thank you so much for being here. I will post that link. I appreciate you being here. Thank you for your time.
Fantastic.
Guys in the chat, we're going to raid on out to one of our community friends in the tabletop RPG sphere. They are also a big supporter of the LGBTQ plus community. She is also a huge supporter and a huge voice for the neurodivergent community. Her name is Gnome Ann. You might know her on TikTok. She's also here on Twitch. A lot of tabletop RPG stuff. So we're going to raid on out to Gnome Ann. Please show her support. Enjoy what she does. Give her a follow. Say hello. Thank you all so much for being here. We will be back tomorrow. We are returning to Cyberpunk. So we'll be back to playing Cyberpunk tomorrow. So you don't want to miss that tomorrow at noon Central. Thank you guys so much for being here. Take care and good night, everyone.